Brother, may I have a spooky book?
No.
I am starving, brother.
As am I, brother. The tall, skinny figure named R.L. Stein has thrown the spooks at me. At me, brother. I believe he has taken a liking to me.
No, brother. I have seen this before. He just wrote a shitty book.
Hey everybody, welcome to... Wait, why? It says you can't... But you... Oh my god! We're doing You Can't Scare Me on You Can't Scare Me! It's book number 15. I keep saying episode number 15, and that is incorrect. Book number 15 by our boy Jovial Bob R.L. Stein, and who I am furious with at this point.
He may be my greatest enemy.
Little known fact, dear reader, dear listener, dear reader, what am I saying? Well, you can read this on Spotify now. We've got the auto transcription stuff, but that's for later. Dear listener, one of the reasons that Rachel stopped doing this podcast is because she kept getting infuriated by the quality of the books that we were reading and how fucking bad they were. She was like, this is a waste of time.
Who can say?
And honestly, I think she won. I think. So,
who can say what's a waste of time?
She got out early.
Oh my god. Not to spoil it, but I got to the end of this book and I literally I had to stop. I double taked at my audiobook.
I think it is funny that we named our podcast after this book. It's a great name for a podcast. And this might be the worst Goosebumps book that I've yet read.
It is. I was immediately worried because I was doing a search and I found a Reddit post from someone who said, I don't know why everybody thinks that You Can't Scare Me is the worst Goosebumps book. And then in the post, they edited it because it was all about it's not so bad. And then in the edit, it was I just finished it. And it's as bad as everyone said.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, okay, you know what? Honestly, though, it does kind of validate me to know that we named our podcast after a specific Goosebumps book, and it happened to be the actual worst one. It's kind of funny.
It is pretty funny, yes. I like the sentiment behind it. I also I will say that there is I am kind of glad that we named our podcast after this because of the TV episode, which I thought we'll get there, but it's definitely a marked improvement over the fucking book.
Well, it's better than the book, yeah.
A very, very strange tone, but we'll get there. Hey, Mario.
Yeah, hi, it's me. It's Mario, I'm the cool ghoul. Who's everybody's pal?
Hey, Brandon.
Yo.
Y'all ready to do this? Y'all ready
for this? But this book fucking sucks ass. This book fucking sucks ass.
Oh my god. It's so... Oh, anyway. Hey, Mario. I hear that history is a thing that happens.
I got some really great news for you. History... much like this book, history in the year of our Lord 1994, January. We just made it to 1984. It fucking sucked out there.
Everything sucks.
It sucked out there. On the streets, people were struggling. This is one of the most fuck you it's January months in maybe the history of film. Right? Anyway, this is history, but only as it pertains to film, television, video games, the only things that actually matter. Opening up our book to page number 2, parentheses, a picture of dog shit. It's January 1994. Brr, it's cold out there, gang. Ooh. And why don't you warm up by going to the theater? What could you watch? Well, House Party 3.
God,
still doing that.
Car 54, Where Are You? I know that title. I don't know that movie is good, but I do know that title. And Cabin Boy. which I thought was probably like a raunchy comedy, right? I don't think it's one of those at all. It's like I see that, I think like, oh, maybe like a knockoff Adam Sandler, you know, like maybe like a Hot Shots Part 2 kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's like an actual movie, and that's a shame. That's a shame.
Tim Burton Productions, directed by Adam Resnick.
Adam Resnick, yeah, who I believe that's one of the bosses in Crackdown. Adam Resnick directed Death to Smoochie, it would appear. No, he wrote Death to Smoochie. And he also wrote The Larry Sanders Show. Okay.
Everything's coming into focus.
He wrote Late Night with David Letterman. So a lot of things are happening here.
He did not write Jurassic Park.
No, he did not. Yeah, this is... Andy Richter is in Cabin Boy.
Yeah.
So
I like Andy Richter.
I mean, I like Andy Richter. Yeah, it's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah,
he's cool.
Okay. What about TV? Was there anything okay? So you can't go to theaters. Nothing in theaters. But you could stay warm inside, right? You could watch TV. What's on TV? William Shatner's Tech War premiered.
What?
I know everyone's excited about William Shatner's Tech War. It was a sci-fi TV show that starred Shatner in like the near future. And there is like an oncoming like robot apocalypse kind of thing, I believe. All I know is he did a guest spot on the WWE for it. Babylon 5 premiered. Is this anything?
I'm not a Babylon person, but I
watched it, I think.
I hear
as a
good
kid.
things.
I think it's good. I know I watched some of it and people had some very silly hair.
You know, it really says something when someone watches something and is like, I think it's good.
It was 94. I was barely sentient.
True. Yeah.
I was barely sentient watching a space politics show.
I was yet a grub.
The Critic premiered.
Oh,
I do like The Critic. That's a good show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you could be watching The Critic. And
Buy my book.
Rosebud's Frozen Peas.
It's full of green penis. That's terrible. I quit.
Rosebud's Frozen Pea. You could not watch Doug because it ended.
Doug ended?
But don't worry, it returned from the grave in 1996.
Oh, thank God. I needed more.
They took a lot of the, my recollection is that they took a lot of the style out of it for the Disney launch.
Oh, did they?
That was the Disney version. Yeah, it sucked. Yeah. The one that you liked ended in 94.
RIP.
R.I.P. That's it for TV, so that's also not very good. What about video games?
I love video games.
What about video games? Well, okay, so here's the full rundown. I decided to add a little here because I get a little juicier, you know. Juice it up a little bit, right? Because it's pretty low. Energy's low coming into W94.
We don't like
rough.
a dry Mario. We like a juicy
we
Mario.
want something. Well, guess what? Guess what, motherfuckers?
What?
Nintendo got up on January 1, and they said, guess what? 94, year of the cartridge.
Hell yeah.
They said that, and I think that might have been true. I think that might have been true. I can't prove it yet. But by the end of the next 12 Goosebumps books, maybe we will have proven it. So consider that. What came out in January? Some of these are going to sound very familiar because they came out in 93, but not on the same platform. Number one is Disney's Aladdin for the SNES. That was last month. It was Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine for the Game Gear.
The same stuff so far.
The machine is mean.
Yep. Illusion of Gaia. That's a new one, I think. That's a new one for the SNES. So far, I mean, Year of the Cartridge is true. There was a Fire Emblem that came out only in Japan for the SNES that we never got.
There's always a Fire Emblem.
There's always a Fire Emblem. Mega Man X for the SNES.
I already talked about that one. Yep.
Yep. I don't think we talked about Wario Land for the Game Boy.
No, actually, no.
Mario Land 3 Wario Land came out for the Game Boy.
It's sick.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Did not talk about that one. So
no, that's the SNES. So I mean, I do remember Zombies Ate My Neighbors because I remember people talking about it as if it was quite important.
Yeah.
I never played it, but like for the next like 4 years, if you opened an issue of like fucking Game Fan magazine, there would be some article about how they should make a new Zombies Ate My Neighbors. But here's something interesting I thought would be an interesting thing to know. Now that we're in January, right? 93 is over. What were the games of the year of 1993? Looking back, what did people say they were? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
7 sources of their games of the year.
Brandon, any guesses?
For 1993?
93. Yeah.
Ooh, I think Aladdin would probably be at the top of a lot of people's.
Actually, Brandon, you are right. E.g.,
Whoa.
the Electronic Gaming Awards did award Disney's Aladdin for Sega Genesis its best game of the year.
Okay, here's my
impressive
question.
since. Okay, yeah.
Why?
That I don't know.
A lot of people have very strong feelings about it. A lot of people are very fond of it. It's like a perfectly competent platformer. Also, we kind of forget that back in the day, platformers were not so much like a kind of like a shovelware genre as they sort of became. People still really liked them.
I would hazard a guess with it was on the tip of my tongue. Mortal Kombat.
Bob, you are correct. Game Informer, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Did indeed award Mortal Kombat 1 Game of the Year 93.
I will hazard another guess.
Okay.
Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
I am sorry to disappoint you, Bob. It is not on this list. There is another fighting game that won Game of the Year in 3 different publications.
Sorry, I'm still not over Street Fighter not winning.
I know.
Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting.
How does Mortal Kombat... I'm sorry. I apologize.
I mean, there were some SF2s released this year, so like you're correct. It is a bit of a shock.
Sam Show?
Yeah, actually, yes.
Nailed it.
Sam Show won in Electronic Gaming Monthly, European Computer Trade Show, and Gamist Awards.
Wow. Okay.
All 3 gave Sam Show for the Neo Geo Game of the Year.
Huh.
Pretty buck wild.
There was a Zelda out this year, wasn't there?
There was, but it didn't win. Now, a Nintendo game did win in a prestigious. I'll give you a hint. It was from the Chicago Tribune.
Brandon, do you think it's like a Mario or something?
It's Michael Jordan, Chaos in the Windy City.
It's really close to that. It's really close to that.
Shaq Fu?
It's Star Fox.
Oh, of course. God,
Star Fox is just a reskin of Michael Jordan, Chaos in the Windy City.
Exactly. And there is one more, the Game Fan Golden Mega Awards.
Golden Mega Award. Oh, shit.
Yeah, you're never going to get this one. In a million years, you won't get this one.
Is it the one where it had the dragons that looked like fucking giant strings of poo?
No, it's not that one. It's not Magic Carpet.
Not Magic Carpet.
When I say it, you'll go, oh, okay. It's Gunstar Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought Brandon would do.
I'm not. Yeah, you call it.
100%.
I patently refuse to go. Oh, that one.
No. I mean, like, I was just looking at a list of games, and I was like, that would have been if we were having a bad time and guessing for the next 30.
We would never have gotten there.
Titles.
You'd
that
never
would have been
have
actually
that.
number 8 for me.
Yeah,
because they did re-release it.
In fact, the only reason that I got so many that I did is because I've been, for reasons that will become clear later in this episode, I have.
Oh, you were looking back on previous episodes of this show, so
I have been going through every single previous episode of You Can't Scare Me.
That's right. We did discuss Sam Show in a previous episode.
That we did. Yes.
What a weird time it is that there was a time in video games where a multiplayer only, basically, fighting game like Sam Show or Mortal Kombat could win Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Not just could win Game of the Year, but could win Game of the Year in 4 different publications.
Mm-hmm. I like that, though. I think that's cool. I wish that would happen again.
Yeah, it is cool. I think it is cool.
The power of samurais is big. People like it.
I mean, Sam Show is pretty fucking cool.
And I guess PUBG, like when that was winning a bunch, that's like basically you can't play that single player.
Yeah. It's just like it's interesting because now all Game of the Years are always like a big prestige, like if not AAA, like AAA adjacent thing, you know.
Oh yeah.
And now it's, I mean, like, obviously these were kind of AAA games equivalent, but like, you know, it's kind of it's an unusual, it's an interesting thing. Anyway, that's literally everything that happened in January 1994. Fuck you. It's January.
It's January.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck everything. It's January. Oh my God. Get us out of here, Brandon.
Brandon,
Please.
show us some pictures.
Please, I need to get my mind off of January and into something that's going to make me feel better, like You Can't Scare Me by R.L. Stine.
Show us between 1 and 19 pictures, please.
That's right, Bob.
Every time he does, it's the announcer voice. Oh, announcer Brandon, take it away.
That's right, Bob. This is Judging a Book by Its Cover, the part of the podcast where we do what they say we should not do. You can't scare me, and you can't tell me what to do.
Consistent.
Number 1. It's the Jacobus original. The border and text are light yellowish brown. The background color is light teal blue. The tagline is, "They're coming for you. I call in the reader or the listener to listen to this podcast and decide at the end whether this is true or an odious lie."
Yeah, I was going to say, you're describing the cover, but all I see is just, it's just I just see the big impact font word that just says lie.
Lies.
Just fucking lie.
This is Satan's book.
This toilet. Yeah.
Hey, it's got some fucking cool mud monsters on it, though.
Yeah, the picture is easily the best part of the entire book.
Hey, do me a favor. Look at R.L. Stine's name and erase R, S, T, and N.
Lie. Oh, actually, move the S to the end, and then it becomes lies.
Oh, yeah.
And if you restore the N and move it to the front, it becomes lies.
If actually, you know what? If you move the N to the front, and then the I and the next and the L and the E and then the S, it becomes Niles.
Actually, if you look at Goosebumps and you remove every letter except S, U, and P, it's up.
If you remove from R.L. Stine the R, the L, the S, and the E, it becomes tin.
Incredible. If you remove the R.L. Stine and the Goosebumps, I think it will be a better book.
If you throw this book in the garbage,
where it fucking belongs.
This is a trash book for babies.
Well, it is funny that the front cover looks very much like a big toilet.
Yeah,
it does. These men who are made of mud, but could also be made of actual human feces if you wanted to pretend.
That foreground's looking pretty poopy.
It is pretty poopy, and they could be in a big liquid bog of shit, of nasty diarrhea shits.
Oh, let me actually, I'll describe the image. This image depicts 3 goopy humanoid mug figures emerging from a flat, muddy ground. The figures are in different stages of rising out of the mud. One just has his head exposed, the second is up to the waist, and the front center figure is fully standing. The main figure's arm is raised, palm out, and his mouth is drooping open very far. He has a prominent brow and a rounded head as though an old bald man is under the mud. A bit of plant material stretches between his torso and arm, which is a motif that actually a lot of the images about this book stick with, including the Halloween costume.
I just saw that.
There is a blue front light to set him off as the central figure from the background. There are a handful of trees in the background obscured by a very yellow, pissy mist. The yellow mist and lumpy brown foreground lend this cover the air of a shit-filled toilet poop, but the figures look good and the composition's strong.
Poop butt. Poop butt. Here's the thing. I like the cover. I think the cover is perfectly serviceable.
Yeah.
The mud monster looks good.
It does. And I will say this, the TV show does a very good job of translating that mud monster in the foreground's exact face into its model for their actual mud monster. Very good.
Very classy looking.
Yeah, it's classy. This is a classy cover, I think.
Yeah.
This evokes like a Hammer horror film.
Unworthy of the contents within.
Completely.
If you take the C and the L away from classy.
Assy.
Yeah. All right. So the second cover is the UK cover.
Oh, the UK!
Oh my god.
UK cover.
Literally ever since we started bringing in the UK covers, this has been the joke every single time. And I hope it continues to be. And you want to know something funny? You want to know something terrifying?
What's that?
I don't know what you're fucking referencing.
Oh.
Toast of London.
It's not Toast of London.
Is it not?
No, it's a clip that Matt Berry narrated a bunch of documentary footage for the BBC, I think. and it's just like him talking absolute nonsense over actual documentary footage, and he's talking about ducks going to private school, like private universities in the UK.
So where did the idea for UK rowing come from? Nobody apart from me actually knows, and let me tell you, harbouring this secret about UK rowing has been a terrible tit-spanner. So let me unburden myself by introducing you to these arse-honkers. They are water boatmen, or watermen, and there is their leader, Dennis Waterman, woefully exploiting surface tension with their oar-like legs. It was, while watching them on the river, that the first UK rower had the idea of UK rowing. But what was he to do with this idea of UK rowing?
The UK ducks.
That's why. It's because I thought it was a voiceover segment from the Clem Fandango recording booth.
It's got a bit of that. It definitely has a bit of that. But yeah, that's the origin of it. In episode 15, All Secrets Coming Out, that's the origin of saying UK like that.
Thank you.
It's just deeply ingrained.
This cover looks like shit.
Yeah, so the UK cover has a peach rings color scheme, the traditional goo.
Yeah, but gone off. Like they've gone off the peach rings. Like
they're a little red.
There's
a little too much red. 7 or whatever is the color that gives everybody cancer.
Yeah.
The traditional goo is cast in orange and red tones. The faces of 3 children are in the goo maelstrom. To the sides are 2 behatted children, one grinning at the reader, and the other looking off-screen in shock. The central head is smiling in what is almost a grimace, with her hand in front of her face, index finger extended.
She looks sick.
What?
She's like pointing at her eye.
She looks like she was trying to pick her nose and missed.
She looks sick.
She whiffed.
In the bottom corners of the book, 2 green children's hands extend out of the goo, tinted green and slightly dripping ichor.
Yeah, that sucks.
Focused as it is on sneering hat-wearing children, this cover is actually a more accurate depiction of what you're in for with this book.
Yeah.
Except for the tagline, "Reader, beware, you're in for a scare."
Yeah. I think mixed messages, really, on this cover, to have "Reader, beware, you're in for a scare" right below the title, "You Can't Scare Me." Like, what are we gonna do, RL? I don't fucking know. Core blimey. You done boggled me. I'm in a right sticky wicket. With this cover.
And also these hands are children's hands. They're not like a mud monster. They just like look like a hand with green.
They bear no resemblance to a mud monster.
Yeah, but I mean, like, also that's pretty accurate.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Also, is one of the children in this supposed to be Hat?
I have no idea.
I would imagine they're both wearing hats.
I know, but they both appear to be very much young girls.
Yeah.
or Hat is a beautiful boy. That's fine. He can have very beautiful long lashes.
And lipstick.
Based on the description of him in the book.
Also, one of their hats appears to be bedazzled.
Yeah.
I just want to note that one of the characters in this book it will be revealed to have never showered a day in their life.
Yeah, these I can't judge very well, but these people all look like they've seen the inside of a bathtub.
I agree. These 3 are done up. And the 2 in the hats, the hat wearing children in this photo are quite done up. Like they are posing for a catalog. If you catch my drift.
Look at well, I guess it doesn't
I don't know.
matter.
I mean, there are 2 girls in this book. I just don't know that either of them wears a hat.
There's like 20 girls in this book, and
that's true. There are actually several. There's actually like 5 or more.
I wrote a very much longer description of everybody in the book before I realized it was pointless. Deleted most of it.
Who's Courtney's friend? Was it like Daphne or
Denise?
Denise.
Thank you.
So yeah, one of them probably Denise.
You want to do cocaine off a vertical mirror? Anyway, Denise.
Yeah, we'll get to Denise. She's in for something.
We'll get to you.
She's going to take and distribute anger and hatred, like most of the children in this book. But moving on to the Korean cover, this
is cool.
Yeah, most of the covers just use the Jacobus original, but Korea is still showing up. The only other unique covers this cover, it now features the familiar black and blue color scheme. A single mud monster is emerging from abstract watercolored sludge water and is visible from the waist up. One arm is extended, his white teeth are bared, and he has yellow pinpoint lights for eyes.
This thing's fucking scary right here. I'll tell you that
That's
right
cool.
now.
I'm terrified of his white teeth.
Yeah.
His teeth are very creepy looking. His eyes are scary. A+ cover. This is a great cover. Scary mud monster. You made the you did it.
It's kind of trypophobia-y.
The texture on him is like really specifically weird.
A lot of little dots.
Yeah, the texture of him has like a bunch of what looks to be little holes.
Yeah.
Holes.
Yeah, like kind of like bullet holes. Yeah, weirdly. I don't know.
Maybe he just robbed a bank.
He's Clayface. It's Clayface, gang.
Oh my god. The second reference to Clayface and You Can't Scare Me history. Yeah.
It makes sense.
We did that?
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah, there was I forget who it was, but a character on a cover reminded us of Clayface. But yeah, I'm all down for that because that Clayface from what was it, the Batman
And the animated series.
the animated series? Yeah, I forgot that.
I know, Brandon and I literally rewatched the Clayface episode like 2 weeks ago.
Dude, it's so good. Isn't the while I was looking up images for Clayface, I saw a bunch of like art for a potential like a new Batman movie featuring Clayface. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
I have not heard of of Clayface being in a new Batman film.
I wonder if people are just doing like fan art or something. But yeah, there was a bunch of.
I think yes, probably. Nothing's come out that like confirmed it. I don't think.
Oh, okay. It was just.
I think it's reportedly he's in it. I think.
Okay, and I'll say Clayface cooler than Sandman.
Yeah. I think that's true.
He's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
They say he gets cooler.
Yeah.
He was voiced by Ron Perlman. So
yeah, even cooler.
Brand, would you like to describe to us this cover that looks like a D&D enemy?
Yeah. So this is the classic Goosebumps cover. I feel uncertain as to whether that someone really decided to put 7 different fonts on every one of these covers. It's criminal. The art itself depicts 3 mud monsters, also in various stages of rising out of goo. The angle is canted by about 30 degrees. The background is a bright piss yellow forest with greenish yellow trees. The figures themselves share a lot of similarities to the Jacobus original, including the outstretched arm on the lead figure and plant matter stretching between the torso and arm.
Except they look like video game enemies.
Yeah, these figures are less human-shaped, especially in the head and face. The lead figure's mouth is basketball-sized with sticks and stones protruding from the group's bodies. The texture of the mud is distinctly shit-like. The lead monster looks like a big wet turd. I guess it's sort of unavoidable with a brown mud monster. The more you make it stylized, the more it's probably going to look like a poop.
Much like if you were to, maybe make like the name of a children's book series, look, lumpy and drippy and thick.
Troubling, yes.
And white.
Like Elmer's glue.
Oh, yes.
But with lumps in it. There's no other fluids look like that.
I love how the one in the background has hands that are like actively like diarrhea-ing. It's
it's spraying.
Taco Bell hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taco Bell. Yeah.
Projectile. Yeah.
These just look like fucking enemies that you would fight in World of Warcraft. Like, also, they're being so dynamic, which is not a thing that happens even in a single moment in this book. So
yeah. I think like it's an alright cover by itself. It's more dynamic than the original, though I think the original has a better effect. Like it gives the impression the original does of like an original zombie, a slow shambling threat that could sneak up on you.
Yes.
Rather than like these look like fast, violent monsters, and that would be even worse considering what happens in the book for you to expect anything like that to happen.
I'll hit you with this. I'll hit you with this one. The original cover looks like they could be from the Monsters in My Pocket line of collectible toy. The new cover looks like they would be enemies in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, they look like they're the action pose, like the heavy action pose, like the very strong movement insinuated from this is it's given like an action like vibe to it.
Yeah.
They're also crawling out of a big anus.
Yeah, true. Oh, you forgot to mention the big butthole in the sky.
There's a butthole. Yeah, they're coming out of a butthole.
The great butthole.
They're being shat.
Haven't we all? Haven't we all? you know?
Yeah.
When you think
Haven't
about
we
it.
all?
The next image that I sent you guys is excellent. A Jacobus cameo, the man himself is here. The unnameable site included a picture of Jacobus doing the mud monster pose on what is probably his back deck. Jacobus here has big 90s hair, more mane than mullet.
He does. Oh, look at those ripped jeans.
God
Yeah,
damn.
blue jeans torn wide open at the knees.
Oh my god.
He's so cool.
That's rules.
Yeah, yeah. What a guy.
What a guy.
Merch. This book had a lot of merch, a tremendous amount of merch. In addition to some shirts and tote bags, we have a glowing mud monster figurine.
Whoa,
a
cool.
funny,
That's pretty cool.
cheap Halloween costume with a fake vine to drape around the arms.
Okay, you skipped over the tote. That tote kicks ass. Like if I got that tote, I'd use it for everything. Like
The mud monster face motif shows up pretty strong and pretty good on a lot of their stuff. It's weird that mud monsters kind of sound boring, like the name, but the image looks great. It's their creature from the Black Lagoon.
the Halloween costume is kind of lazy, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think like it's a good illustration, a good example of like how you can draw something and pattern it and make that way more than the sum of its parts.
Yes.
It's just like a really lazy bodysuit essentially, but the drawing is pretty good on it, and the vine is inspired. There's a little vine that they drape.
The vine is good.
I also like the "My name is Mud" quote on the front of the costume for some reason.
Yeah, that's like a famous quote.
Yeah.
Famous quote from the
R.L.
Mud Monster.
Stein's "You
Do you
Can't
remember
Scare
that?
Me."
Yeah,
Yes.
when the Mud Monster said, "My name is Mud." Yeah.
Yeah.
There were also some stickers. Here's one of
I
a
love that
mud
sticker.
monster playing guitar.
That kicks ass.
That's fucking sick, actually.
This one's wild. A pair of goopy safety scissors with the inspired name of Twisted Scissor.
Okay, I like several things about this. Does this pair of scissors give to you the vibes of a thing that you would call a safety scissors, and yet you'd still somehow manage to cut off part of your finger with it?
Yes. It also looks like it came out of a butt.
Yes.
It does. It does.
It's one of those things where you just really can't get away from the feces allegations. They're sticking.
You can.
There's a funny little bookmark that says, "I hate it when I lose my place," with a hand reaching out.
Yeah, and I hate it when you make me read a bad book, R.L. Stein.
Yeah, I hate lots of things.
Yeah.
I included a picture of an illustration of what appears to be Homer Simpson covered in mud.
Me.
There's a product that I don't entirely understand called Freaky. I wrote here Freaky Feces Mud Monster, but it's Freaky Faces.
I see what you
that
did
is-
there.
Put your hand inside my head to make my face move if you dare.
What?
It's a big latex bust. The
What?
text
Okay.
Why?
on the box says you're supposed to put your hand inside the head. At first I thought inside the mouth or under it, like a puppet.
Yeah.
I think it's probably meant to be a puppet, like you put it on your arm
Yeah.
and you open the mouth and like the latex stretches and it looks like a guy.
Yeah,
Mhm,
but that's such a wild like command to give to the person viewing this box.
Put your hand inside my head.
Put your hand inside my head to make my face move if you dare. Like, okay.
Do I dare?
Why is it not brown? Like,
Yeah, it's a little pissy, huh?
Like, why is it like yellow? That's weird.
I don't know.
Is it just old and maybe it?
That's just laziness. They're like, we don't want to have to color the latex.
This is the piss monsters from Pissy Creek.
Yeah. Well, it's unavoidable to a degree.
The next one is also quite yellow.
Please. Wait, are we talking about the jersey?
Yeah, I've included a picture of a shirt or jersey that features a mud monster playing soccer with a red Goosebumps baseball cap, and he is doing a sliding dive with his arms out like a goalie to deflect a soccer ball. The text is Goosebumps Mud Monster Slimy Slide, which this is pretty inspired.
I'm going to tell you right now.
I would wear this.
I would both wear this, and if you were like shopping in Japan right now, this shirt would cost like $600. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mean because it's vintage. I mean like a new shirt that looks like this would cost you fucking over 3 digits. Like,
Yeah. There's a Mud Monster pencil holder
That kicks
looks
ass.
really good with
That
the Mudster
rules.
himself holding a tablet with the Goosebumps G and a tombstone with RIP writ thereupon.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like the touch of the grave for R.L. Stein's career. It's
I like that one of the pencils in the background has an eraser cover of a sarcophagus.
Yeah. Oh,
That's pretty-
I'm sorry. Can you say that again? I don't understand what sarcophagus means. Can you say that?
It's the thing.
Mummy
It's the thing.
case.
Yeah.
Mummy case.
It's where your
case.
it's where your mummy goes to sleep.
I see, look, okay, I'm just gonna show you this right now. I'm looking at those pencils, and I see the fucking gang's all here. You got
Yeah.
Slappy the Dummy as an eraser topper, right?
Mhm.
I think that is, that's Curly the Skeleton on that pencil in the purple, I think. And then,
I can't tell.
I think it is.
Let's just assume that it is.
I think there's a mohawk, which means it's Curly. And then there is also sarcophagus for the mummy. You got the whole gang. You got everybody is here.
At first, I was really excited because I thought that was a green thumb.
Ah.
I thought it was a foot for a second.
Yeah, sarcophagus is cool too.
Yeah, green thumb. I would say it's more stay out of the basement-y, but yeah.
Yeah. There's a drink. There was a drink.
This shouldn't exist.
The hair-raising
This looks like it.
Monster orange flavored drink, upon which can the guitar-playing Mudster appears again.
Why?
I mean, I love the guitar playing Mudster. However, this looks like it's a pepperoni pizza flavored soda. Like,
Yeah. This looks like almost like it would have a tomato base.
yeah, I mean, like the mud monster is also yellow, so he looks like he's made of cheese, and the red and yellow gives real. I mean, either ketchup and mustard or full on pizza. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it says Monster Orange flavored drink, so it's probably just like
it's probably a really gross orange soda.
yeah.
I guess they were like, we just have to make it look like anything other than shit.
Well, they didn't sort of. They didn't completely succeed, I must say.
No.
What if it's just Tang?
Probably.
And there's one more picture in this folder of a T-shirt that looks kind of cool.
Oh,
This is a modern
yeah.
tee. Cavity Colors is a current brand.
Yeah, this is again, this doesn't fit the story because these monsters look like they're doing stuff and are present.
They're dynamic and interesting to look at, which
Also,
is
the
the problem.
background has got like psychedelic colors, which
Yeah, all Cavity Colors t-shirts are like this, where like the colors are really, really
Psychedelic.
aggressive.
Ah.
And I mean, I guess that's like kind of their shtick, and that's fine if that's your thing. It's not my vibe, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm not judging you if it's your vibe. I want you to live your best life, and you know, if you got it, flaunt it.
Could you try and say that again, but less judgmental?
I'm being completely sincere. I want you to have your best life and wear what you think looks good on you.
Again,
I want you to wear.
You're digging the hole.
I want you to wear things that express yourself.
I am being completely sinister.
I want you to express yourself through clothing. And if this is yourself, express it, my friend. Follow your heart and your bliss. I'm just saying I can't do this. Like,
Follow your mud and your piss is what I.
yeah. Also,
Follow your stupid heart.
I like my graphic tees, which I own a lot of graphic tees. I like them to be a little more subdued. That's kind of my vibe.
The judgment just oozes out of you like mud from Muddy Creek.
But some people like them really like in your face, and that's fine, brother. They're different strokes for different folks.
Wow. I can't believe Mario just did that live on a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm such a monster. I'm history's greatest monster.
Why don't you crawl back into Muddy Creek?
Yeah, go back to the shithole.
Go back to the toilet.
Well, speaking of crawling back into the shithole, I think it's time for someone to tell us the plot of the first 9 chapters of
oh
this
God,
book.
please no. Please, I don't want to relive this.
What could be laughingly called the plot of this book.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
We're gonna check in occasionally, at least in my section, with remember what this book looks like from the outside.
I think you said we're gonna check in occasionally with each other to see how we're doing emotionally.
Yeah, we're gonna just check in and make sure we're all like awake.
Are we all okay? Is everybody all right? Like, I might start playing SMT 4 or 5 5. Yeah, 5. Might play SMT 5 in the background while y'all.
Let's suffer together. I think that we can experience a higher quality of suffering in each other's company.
True.
I do have 4. I could do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right, let's run down this toilet. We open on a class field trip to the woods and are introduced to some of the many children in the book. Courtney is a Little Miss Perfect type who exudes the titular "You Can't Scare Me" aura. She has a friend called Denise. And Denise is notable for being Courtney's friend. Thank you. There is a kid named Herbie, whom everyone calls Hat because he is wearing a hat. Wow. The main character is named Eddie.
Can I just note, I also have in the margins of this chapter, wow.
Bold of you, Real Stein. Eddie, Hat, Courtney, Denise. Got that? Better get this straight. It will probably be important. The class rode on a bus toward Green Forest. That's green with an E. More children are mentioned. Molly and Charlene are Eddie's friends as well. Molly has braces. Charlene looks like Molly, but doesn't have braces. Molly wears glasses too. Charlene doesn't, though. I could go on. And I will. Molly's braces are red and blue. She's always showing them off. Oh, that Molly and her braces. We are in for the long haul, folks.
I am having flashbacks, and I am feeling myself shut down. Mentally.
I gotta tell you. I'm gonna say right here. I read this book in its entirety on the flight back from Japan. Okay, I had nothing else I could be doing. Literally no other activity that could be occupying my time besides this, and I still had to put it down. And stop. This sucks.
This is too much.
I got to this chapter 1 and the clothing descriptions began, and I was like, oh fuck me, man. Oh fuck, this is gonna suck, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh my god.
I also read this on a flight back from a business trip, and
it might be the only way to read it.
Yeah. Or I guess like an audiobook. If you're trying to read this with your human eyes, the words dance away from your eyes.
You can't have any other thing that could possibly be more interesting than it. The in-flight screen tracker is more interesting than this, going from fucking Japan.
Can I make a confession right here and now?
Yeah.
I listened to the audiobook version of this.
Did you speed it up?
No, I did not. I should have, but I wanted to get the full experience, the Jovial Bob, Jovial Guarantee, Jovial experience. I had to...
Guarantee.
I could not find this on YouTube. I could not find this on Spotify for free.
It's a wonder.
I had to pay for it. I had to pay $13.
Oh!
Very sad.
Oh! You paid $13?
I had to pay $13 for this.
Oh!
Patreon.com/You Can't Scare Me.
Fuck.
Fucking god damn it.
I mean, this book cost $4 when it came out?
Yes. Now, here's the thing. I am glad that at least one of us experienced the audiobook because it is good. Mark Turetsky actually does a really good job, and I will have a lot of fun with some of the way that he gives voices to some of the characters. But at the very beginning of the audiobook, it clearly says hey, if you reproduce this in any way, you're going to fucking jail. And that just made me laugh so hard because it just gives me the idea of someone yeah, what are you in for? Yeah, I got fined $250,000 and I got sentenced to prison for fucking 5 years because I shared You Can't Scare Me by Jovial Bob R.L. Stein on YouTube.com.
Everybody in prison's whoa, man, this guy's serious.
The prison library is mostly Goosebumps, and we've all read that book, and we all know.
I'm just having
you got jail time for that one.
I'm having a vision of the scene in Home Movies where Coach McGurk is talking to Jason or Brendan, and he says you gotta make sure that they know you're crazy when you get in there, that you're the craziest guy in there.
Yeah.
And he's like, so show me how you do that, Brendan. And Brendan goes, woo woo woo. He goes, Coach McGurk goes, okay, that just makes me want to hit you more. It's okay, well now I want to hit you. And that's what I think would happen if you were what are you in for? I copied You Can't Scare Me.
Just fucking punched in the face.
But okay, well now I'm gonna beat you up.
I want to also mention that this is one of the few audiobooks that we've listened to so far where R.L. Stein does not introduce it.
I'm not shocked.
I just want to reiterate, I paid $13 fucking for this piece of fucking garbage, and R.L. Stein doesn't even give me the fucking grace doesn't have the fucking grace, doesn't have the fucking dignity to show his fucking face.
I wonder if all of the Mudman merch isn't like a fucking scheme to get kids to buy this book. Do you know what I'm like?
I think that like he knew it was bad. He's like, I'm not throwing good time after bad. I wrote this one. This book really feels like, and I call on the listener to listen and think. I think this was an exercise for him, a writing exercise, an exercise in talking as though he was a child writing this book, and having lots and lots of kid dialogue, which in some of the past books has been sort of like a weakness of him, of having kids sound like kids.
Yeah.
And that instead of trying to actually write like an actual Goosebumps story, like a spooky story, he just used this as an exercise for development. And rather than like not publishing it because it's not fun to read, he's like, well, this is one of my monthly books. I'll just release it. And by the time they buy it, it'll be too late.
They'll have no choice.
This is one of the books they'll just buy because they want to have the full collection, you know?
Yeah, it's one of the ones that's going to be untouched. It's got the most dust on its cover.
This is going to have some dust on its cover, yeah.
There's going to be an old spooky mansion someday, and there will be a copy of this completely covered in dust, but pristine on the inside. So returning to our terrible children, who aren't terrible yet.
Do we have to?
Yeah.
The fact that we already tried to get away from it, like we already tried to escape talking about it. Go on.
Let's slam this. Let's slam it. Inscribed herein is a depiction which I will spare you of the children's 90s middle school fashion. As the class rocked through the forest, the friends bantered and playfully insulted each other. Molly criticized Eddie for being afraid of putting a worm on a hook while fishing. Eddie cried angrily that he wasn't afraid of the worm. It was just yucky, that's all. Yea, even unto adulthood, yuckiness remains a critical consideration.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie mentions his older brother Kevin, who makes fun of Eddie's buck teeth by calling him Bugs, like Bugs Bunny. The kids return to the bus, where Eddie mentions that Hat has big ears that bend beneath his baseball cap, and he is always grinning. Eddie says Hat looks like Dopey from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I have a bad feeling we are going to be surviving this book, friends, I wrote. Hat asked why the forest is called Green with an E, and Eddie explains it was left by a guy named Green who left the forest to the city when he died. Hat claimed to have known that, despite having asked the reason literally 2 sentences ago. What a liar Eddie thinks. Eddie reflected that the man who lies to himself and listens to his own lie comes to a point that he cannot distinguish the truth within him or around him, and so loses all respect for himself and others. And having no respect, he ceases to love. And what is hell but the suffering of being unable to love? The children reached the forest and debussed. The teachers told them to observe and write down all the plant and animal life they saw. Eddie told Charlene, the unbraced, that he would record her as plant life. Charlene stuck out her tongue at Eddie with a big wad of chewing gum on the tip. Hat slapped her on the back really hard, and the gum went flying. People speak sometimes about the bestial cruelty of man, but that is so terribly unjust and offensive to beasts. No animal could ever be so cruel as a man, so artfully, so artistically cruel. After a time of wandering, Eddie noted that Courtney had recorded much more plant and animal life than himself. Courtney also knew the names of several trees, like a proper know-it-all. Eddie thought to himself that the girls were working too hard, that field trips are for goofing off away from school. Eddie then tried to push Hat into a huge patch of poison ivy, but missed and went sprawling face down in the dirt. Standing over his prone form, Hat leaned down and whispered to Eddie, "Your worst sin is that you have destroyed yourself and betrayed yourself for nothing." Eddie brushed himself off and saw a bright green snake next to his foot. Oh shit, he opened his mouth to scream, but no sound can come out. That's the end of chapter 1.
The snake was definitely real.
And definitely venomous.
Do we want to talk about it right now, that our main character fucking sucks in this book?
He sucks, and he'll continue to suck more.
He will continue to suck until the end of this book.
I mean, everyone kind of sucks, but our main character says he doesn't like bats, which, like, okay, fuck you.
I mean, I'm kind of worried when bats are around just because of rabies and how they're like a prime vector for rabies. But like, as long as you got your rabies shot, like bats are fucking adorable.
I think that this guy is the ultimate wet blanket, and I don't think he likes anything.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, he's... it's so weird because they kind of set him up to be like, kind of like, I don't know, like a cool, like the cool kid.
Like, yeah, briefly.
Like, yeah, and it just completely, like, I don't think we've ever had a main character in a Goosebumps book that I've hated more than this kid.
So I kind of...
Eddie fucking sucks. Also, real quick, just want to note that it says that that Kevin, Eddie's older brother, calls him Bugs.
Yeah.
Does he ever call him Bugs?
No.
So fucking what the fuck?
Irrelevant.
Get out of here.
This was a one pass book. There was no revising.
A word count book. Just put a sentence in somewhere.
You get the sense very strongly in especially these opening chapters that he was like, he didn't know what it was yet. He didn't know like what the book was. In fact, the mud monsters aren't even mentioned until like halfway through the book.
You get the sense from this book that he didn't know what this book was.
Yeah, he was just riffing.
We should be writing instead of riffing. That would be my opinion, RL.
However you get there, I mean, like...
it's not the destination.
What was his quota? A book a month?
A book a month,
truly unreasonable.
Maybe it was a bad idea to write a book a month, is what I thought while reading this book. Like, maybe it was like... I mean, it was the holidays, December is a busy time.
It's true.
December is hard for families. And, R.L. Stine, he's got a lot going on. He's got obviously, he's just got, a lot of stuff to do and get-togethers and holiday parties and Scholastic's, big Christmas orgy.
You're just giving me the visual, like, sort of idea that R.L. Stine came up with this entire book and wrote it, like, on a toilet, like, while he was... Like...
I think he wrote this on a fucking napkin, 4 eggnogs in.
I think that he was on the toilet after eating Taco Bell, wiped his ass, looked at it, and said, "Oh, you can't scare me."
It might be
perfect.
A story.
It might be a story.
I was gonna say there is another book. I know that Vampire Breath, our main character, I believe, is a bully.
Oh, fun.
Like it is told from a bully's perspective.
It's an exploration of the human condition.
So that is an interesting... it's an exploration of the human condition and evil as it persists in the soul of man. Anyway, Brandon, what happens in Chapter 2? I got a prediction. Nothing.
Let's return to the condition of shitting. Yeah. Chapter 2. The snake, who is real, dove towards Eddie to sink its fangs into his throat, but of course it didn't. Eddie opened his eyes to see Courtney, the know-it-all, holding the snake, which she explained as a harmless green snake. R.L. Stine learned that green snakes in America are mostly harmless. There's only one species in Florida that isn't.
This is how the healing starts.
Yeah. She petted the snake. Petted it. Then set it on the ground to slither away. Denise said they should write down chicken on their wildlife count. Shut the hell up, Denise. Molly, Charlene, and Hat groused about Courtney showing off, wishing that the snake had bitten her perfect nose. Evil devil children. Eddie petulantly claimed that he wasn't actually afraid of the snake and that he knew it was harmless. What a despicable bunch of liars and villains. The children teased Eddie about the snake, and he thought to himself that his day was ruined. The children returned to the bus to find a circle of kids around the bus. Had something terrible happened to Courtney? Why would you think that? Chapter 3.
I would just like to know, you described them. You described our cast in a negative way. I also wrote in the margins of my notes, our cast of bitter, maladjusted losers.
Yeah, they've remained that way.
I have many different names for them.
They suck. Every character kind of sucks, but our main characters definitively suck.
And they just keep digging the hole.
Oh, they get worse.
How much they suck.
Yeah.
And it's just like, guys, what do we do? We'll get there.
Yeah.
They have no sense of pattern recognition as well. You will see.
None.
Yeah, you will see.
They don't change their minds. And it's really fucking frustrating because this entire time, this entire fucking book is all about painting Courtney as like this awful, terrible person when she hasn't done anything wrong. She just showed you up because you're constantly fucking terrified of everything. Anyway.
Well, she's about to do something truly unforgivable.
That's
in
true.
A weird break from the rest of the book depiction.
It is a weird scene.
Yes, this is very strange.
Weird, yeah.
Actually, it's so strange I totally forgot about it.
You're like, that couldn't have happened. So, Chapter 3. Courtney held in her hand 2 enormous bumblebees, smiling as they crawled around her arms. Bees will not sting you unless they are provoked, Courtney said softly. Eddie silently begged the bees to sting Courtney or to crawl up her shirt. Courtney then threw the bees at Eddie. This is actually what happens. This isn't a joke. These psychotic children. How do you throw bees? How do you throw a live wasp?
How do you throw a bee? Like,
especially in the way where it's described in the book, where like a bee like hits Eddie in the shoulder and then it falls. Like, what the fuck?
Yes, chapter 4. One of the bees bounces off Eddie, and the other landed on Hat. He screamed, "Get it off, get it off," and did a wild, frightened dance like many children would do. Most of the other nightmare children were laughing at Hat. The other bee swooped at Eddie's face, and he dodged, flailing. Courtney flashed him a smug grin as they boarded the bus. What the fuck?
Yeah,
you
like,
would never throw a bee.
I think you just shouldn't do it. Yeah, you just shouldn't throw a bee, even if you can. Like,
you wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't throw a bee. Bow, bow. Eddie, Charlene, Hat, and Molly. These are names that are all important. I hope you all keep track of them.
I've got a running list. I'm writing.
All right,
it down.
here we go. Ingmar van Horstman, Thor
Guy
Graham
Incognito. Eddie, Charlene, Hat, and Molly engaged in renewed grousing about Courtney. There must be something she is afraid of, Charlene said. Eddie suggested that maybe she is afraid of the mud monsters. Charlene said that no one really believes in them anymore, and it's just a stupid old fairy tale. Eddie then tells us, the reader, about it rather than not knowing what it is and having someone else tell him so it would be natural. Whatever. There is a legend in our town that the mud monsters live under the muddy banks of the creek, and sometimes when the moon is full, the mud monsters rise up from the creek bed, all dripping with mud, and look for victims to pull down in the mud with them. It's a good story, claims Eddie.
Brandon, what's the name of the creek? What's
Muddy
the creek's
Creek.
name? Muddy Creek, yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Muddy Creek mud monsters.
Green
are-
Forest and Muddy Creek. R.L. Stein
Yeah.
explores new ground.
My favorite part of, I think it was the first or second chapter, was it Hat, who was like, "Why isn't it called Red Forest?" Like, what? Shut the fuck up.
R.L. Stein answers his own character's question, because I'm not trying today, Hat.
And to be clear, I'm not telling Hat to shut the fuck up. I'm telling R.L. Stein to shut your fucking mouth. It's so padded. At one point when we were listening to this in the car, like we were like getting groceries and shit with me and Rachel, I was just yelling at the top of my lungs, "Fucking padding! Why is this so padded? Oh my god!"
It's nothing but pad. Nothing but pad.
It's nothing but padding. If you fell on this book, it would be really comfortable because it's super padded.
You could sleep on this book.
You could. It's delicious
Yeah,
bed.
it's not very comfortable. It doesn't
delicious bed.
It is thin, though. You wouldn't really feel it. The pea style.
Listener, if we just randomly scream at the top of our lungs, please don't be alarmed. We are just, this is how we are processing this fucking book.
Anyway, what happens to our fucking horrible freaks? They're fucking horrible freaks.
I know it's terrible, but I briefly want to go back and tell you, this is the legend that is supposedly the good story.
Yeah.
There's a legend in our town that the mud monsters live under the muddy banks of the creek, and sometimes when the moon is full. So not every time when the moon is full, the mud monsters rise up from the creek bed, all dripping with mud, and look for victims to pull down in the mud with them. It's a good story. Is it?
Is it?
Wait a minute. Wait a goddamn second. Was that recapped at the beginning of the book? At like chapter, what are you on, chapter 3?
This is chapter 4, and
Chapter 4?
This is the first we've heard of it. And this is also basically there are. I think this book contains maybe 8 sentences that include the mud monsters in them in any way, and half of them are right here.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is, like, when we get to my chapters, I think R.L. Stein duplicated basically the same shit with a little bit extra, a little bit more filling out of like the details, but I think it's the exact same shit that you had in your chapter.
Here is a comment to kind of date this podcast. Currently, as we speak, one of the what the TikTok algorithm thinks I want to see, and bear in mind that TikTok thinks, I would like to stress, that I am a 22-year-old lesbian.
Wait, you're not?
That's the secret is I'm a 35-year-old man the whole time.
I'm a mud monster.
What the algorithm has been showing me, so I think this may be a clip that's circulating, is the TikTok's discovered the show Mountain Monsters, I think is what it's called. Have you seen it? It's like a bunch of guys are very clearly acting in a show that they're pretending is a documentary, and it's like 6 of the most stereotypical guys from the Appalachian Mountains that you've ever seen in your life. Like and the clip is them saying, if a monster could beat Bigfoot, I don't know that one could, but it would probably be a hellhound. I don't know about any monster could beat Bigfoot, but if a monster could beat Bigfoot, I'd have to say it's a wampus.
Yes.
And this is, so I imagine in this town they sit around like, I bet a mud monster could kick Bigfoot's ass.
I think Mothman could use his lasers.
Yeah, all those Bigfoot shows are of a kind.
Of a kind. They kind are all of a piece. Anyway.
Brandon?
Pieces. I think Mothman could use his lasers to beat Bigfoot.
Oh, Mothman was one of the ones they suggested.
Well, I mean, I also think that Bigfoot would use his deflector.
Did you all see that Mothman got the Mothman statue?
He's got a great ass.
And he's got a great ass too. Did you see that someone put a tramp stamp on his butt?
I would be, if it were me, I'd be out there like, I don't know that any monster could beat up Bigfoot, but I do think that he and Mothman would make passionate love to one another.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's talk about which of the monsters would be kissing.
Like, I think they'd make out, and the second that Bigfoot felt Mothman's firm, tight ass, he'd say, he'd be good to go, brother. You know what I'm saying?
I think Mothman and Slenderman would be a really cute couple.
I think it would be interesting to see how they would kiss.
Yes.
Just from a logistical standpoint.
I want to see that.
Don't worry, someone's drawn it. Don't worry, that's happened. I think that's an SCP actually. SCP 6969. It's just Mothman and Slenderman kissing. You have to go into a room and you just see Mothman and Slenderman kissing. Like journal entry, Dr. Blackman, Dr. Blackhand 75.
Look in the chat.
Slender.
Oh my god.
Imagine Bigfoot.
Holy shit. It do be like that though.
It do be like that. For
true.
the listener, Brandon just posted a fucking
It's
tweet
true.
from who TF is Mick, where it's before dudes kiss you, they give you this look, and it's a penguin giving a very
It's a little bit
look at picture.
a little bit
my
sultry. This penguin is looking a little bit sultry. This penguin's also looking a little bit like he's in The
Wait,
Godfather.
Stop. Somebody had a really good reply, and it was
Oh, Mario, you have to explain it now.
it's Kevin Hart. It's Kevin Hart looking like really thoughtful. It was the tweet is they finish off with this, and it's Kevin Hart looking like, yeah,
Oh my god. Notice how we're avoiding talking about the
Yeah. This is what Bigfoot would do to a Mothman.
Oh.
I did like when Bigfoot actually comes up in this story. That was cool.
And he gets shit out of the muddy creek. Yeah.
I also liked when Bigfoot comes in this story. Yeah.
God damn it.
It's a good story.
Wait, is that the true origin story of the mud monsters? Is Bigfoot shit? Bigfoot's magical shit.
They come out of Bigfoot.
Whenever Bigfoot comes in the woods, it makes a mud monster.
Bigfoot went to Taco Bell and came in his shit, and now it's fucking mud monsters.
The fucking Appalachian fucking mountain monster guys. Yeah, well, whenever Bigfoot comes in the swamp, after he takes a big old shit, he comes in it, and a mud monster comes up. That's what they say. I've heard that. I've heard that too. I've heard that too.
I don't know if we can keep this in here.
If you need to censor it, use the Taco Bell dong over the trouble free word.
Yeah.
Oh, whenever Bigfoot has big nasty diarrhea, that's a mud monster right there. That's how I've heard that.
That's how and you know, here's the weird thing: they kiss real good.
Yeah. They make big old mud pies. That's just what they love.
They smell great. They kiss good too.
You gotta let them be the way they are. That they were. That their creator, the man that shat them out, made them.
So anyway, chapter 4 concludes with...
Hat mentioned that Eddie's brother is making a horror movie about the mud monsters. Eddie reflects that he begged to be in it, but that his brother refused. Eddie insisted loudly that the group needs to scare Courtney. An evil smile broke across Molly's face. She pushed her glasses up on her nose. Behind them, her brown eyes sparkled with excitement.
She's
I think
Gendo
I have an
Icario.
idea, she whispered. Let's cut off her head with a big knife. Chapter 5. No, Charlene's idea is actually way dumber than that. Charlene suggested that the solution is to scare Courtney with a big rubber snake her brother has. Courtney, who previously handled and petted an actual wild snake in front of the group. Zero pattern recognition here.
I don't know what this plan is.
Charlene described the big bad rubber snake, and the kids laughed about their excellent plan that will work. The plan was to put the snake in Courtney's lunch bag. Eddie described the usual contents of Courtney's lunch bag. 2 sandwiches, 2 boxes of juice, plus a bag of potato chips and an apple, some string cheese, and usually a fruit roll-up or 2.
What the
Eddie
fuck?
over here, having a normal one, actually listing the typical contents of a classmate's lunch bag. At this point, let us reflect briefly that this is an entry in a series of horror books for children. Molly put the fake snake in Courtney's lunch bag. Eddie cannot wait until lunch to see the fruits of his villainy. How would he be able to concentrate on anything? He kept imagining what would happen. With the magic of our imagination, we can see it now, perchance as in the cinema. Courtney, you will unroll the top of the brown paper lunch bag, expecting the usual treats and foods. Nutrition for a growing mind, Courtney. Doesn't your mother always say, Courtney, that children need to eat food because they are growing? And there are also other reasons to eat food? Yes, Courtney.
Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter describing what Courtney's going to do with her lunchbox.
Yes, Courtney. It is as your mother says, but you will not see the foods, will you, Courtney? Instead of the bundles of plastic-wrapped sandwiches and shiny aluminum fruit roll-up tube, a singular dark form will greet your eyeballs. For a moment, Courtney, your mind will be frozen from the contrast of the usual shapes with this singular dark coiled entity. A millisecond later, a sharp pang of reflexive fear will shoot through your big dumb brain as the details of the mystery figure come into focus. The reptile pattern scales, the sharp white fangs, and the yellow slit eyes of a predator. Oh yes, detective, your body will react reflexively to put as much distance between you and the monster in the bag. Maybe you spring backwards, falling out of your chair. Maybe you spill your milk. Maybe you fire the bag away from you, springing the snake out of the bag onto a friend. Maybe Denise, that bitch. And then finally, the final act, betrayal and shame. Why, it's only rubber, Courtney, I'd say, holding it up high so everyone could see. You shouldn't be afraid of rubber snakes. They're harmless, perfectly harmless. Maybe you'll run away in shame. Maybe you'll cry in embarrassment. Maybe you'll fucking die. Yes, you should never have messed with me, Courtney. The last laugh haver will be me.
The tragedy is not to die, but to be wasted.
I'd like to be wasted.
Wasted. The fucking Grand Theft Auto waste.
You delight in wickedness and then berate yourself for the delight. I was trying to think of a good like equivalent Hannibal quote that you could do for the putting a fake snake in a lunch bag.
Putting a snake in a lunch bag. Hannibal Lecter would be like, he'd be into that.
Here we go. You put as Eddie puts the snake in the bag, he goes, killing must feel good to God too. He does it all the time. And are we not created in his image?
In the real story, Courtney, they watched her pick up her own lunch bag. Chapter 6. The teacher groans that he forgot his lunch. Yeah, Courtney offers the teacher some of her lunch,
Yeah.
but does this by extending the whole-ass unopened bag to the teacher, like one would do. The teacher screamed and dropped the bag to the floor, seeing the snake. Courtney stomped the snake's head off. Fierce, hard, heroic stomps is the description given in this book. Later, the schemers reflected on their stupid plan and revel at least in the teacher's funny scream. As the terrible children walked back to Eddie's house, they considered again what to scare Courtney with. Suddenly, the neighbor, Mrs. Rudolph, rushed up to the group and begged specifically Eddie, please, you've got to help me.
Here's a chapter that doesn't need to be in this book.
Yep.
Seriously,
Rudolph's cat.
welcome to a chapter that doesn't need to be here.
Gestures to all of them.
Yeah.
Chapter 11. Mrs. Rudolph's cat was stuck up a tree, and she had specifically rushed to Eddie to ask him to rescue it. For some reason, no other child, including Hat, was considered for this address. Eddie reflected that he really didn't want to. The neighbor put her hand on Eddie's shoulder and again asked him to climb up after the cat. She argued that little boys are good at climbing trees, and Eddie countered with, he is afraid of heights. Eddie's terrible friends encouraged him to retrieve the cat without volunteering themselves, of course. Mrs. Rudolph increased the pressure by saying her kids would be heartbroken if something happened to the cat. Then the cat yelped and started to fall.
Just call the police, you crazy woman.
For real.
Just
Call
fucking
the fire department. Just
you
get a fucking ladder.
loon! Call the goddamn
What are you
police.
No, you should climb up in the tree, and then when you fall out of the tree, when the cat latches itself to your face with its claws,
Yeah,
then you'll
yeah,
be injured,
why-
and I'll go to fucking jail.
Why must
Yeah,
this
exactly.
child do this for you? Why must this be the thing that's happening?
Because we're in a weird, bad world. We're in like a shitty alternate universe where this might make sense and not just be a weird reason for Eddie to feel bad. Chapter 8, they all screamed, but the cat didn't fall. It slipped and climbed back up. Loathsome cliffhanger in a non-chapter. As the cat cried, Mrs. Rudolph says, I guess I better call the fire department. Yeah, you better.
But
No
I guess
shit.
I better call it a fire department.
Yeah, better call the
Call the fire department.
Also, I love that Gary Jules song, Bad World.
Bad world.
Bad,
Sad
yeah,
world.
bad world,
Crap
sad
world. Shit world.
I wish I wasn't in a bad world. I wish I was in a glad world.
Yeah. Imagine sending a child to climb up a tree without a ladder and then having that child try to grab a frightened cat and carry it down. But everyone in this book is mean and dumb. No one will be surprised that Courtney rocks up on a red racing bike, climbs the tree, and saves the cat. I like climbing trees, she said. It's really fun, Mrs. Rudolph said. I'm glad someone in this neighborhood is brave.
Oh my god.
You didn't help either, you crone.
You are talking to a child. Yeah, you fucking crone. Like,
Jesus Christ.
Courtney grinned at Eddie, then asked Eddie if he put the snake in her lunch. Eddie said of course not, which was technically true. The best kind of true. As soon as Courtney was out of earshot, the group resumed planning how to scare her. Hat suggested a live tarantula down her back. There is no heaven for these children.
no, they'll never see the light of heaven.
Chapter 9. There were 2 tarantulas in the second floor science lab. The plan was to sneak in, take one of them, and hide it in Eddie's locker overnight, then drop it onto Courtney's head in the gym. Amazing plan. What could go wrong? Hat and Eddie waited for the end of the school day. They snuck into the science lab. It was empty. The idiot children bumbled and shoved each other, jumping at several sounds and considering whether they should just hang it up. Hatred prevailed, and Hat reached for the tarantula. Both of them realized in that moment that they had nothing to store the tarantula in and couldn't just carry it around. The fucking idiots, and had not considered before this very moment. This is like the movie Ocean's 11. Eddie found a plastic cottage cheese container, and Hap dropped the tarantula inside it. The tarantula began flopping around frantically, shooting its legs out, slipping and sliding on the slippery plastic surface. He doesn't like it in there, Eddie said. Too bad, Hat replied, closing the wire mesh cage lid. We will not let the moral imperative to avoid animal cruelty spoil our plan to embarrass our classmate. As the 2 loathsome idiots bumbled about, footsteps sounded from the hall. The science teacher was about to walk in. End of chapter 9. And also the end of my section.
Congratulations, you've made it. You did
We
it.
made it through.
You did it. You sound like you're at a funeral. So Mario, as a person who deals with corpses a lot, I thought you would like this book a little bit more
Why is that?
because it makes you feel dead.
I mean, I am dead inside. I've been that way forever. I've been that way for years, you know. So this is
Don't
really
open dead inside.
exactly. That's gonna be tattooed on my chest at autopsy because I love The Walking Dead.
We
it's gonna-
are.
It's
The
gonna
Walking
it's
Dead.
gonna
I don't
say
know I don't know if you knew.
No, the full tattoo's gonna say "Don't open dead inside." Parentheses. We are The Walking Dead.
No,
dash
don't dead open inside. Then we are the one.
dash The Walking Dead on AMC.
And then a picture of a fucking what's his name?
Parentheses adapted from the comic by Robert Kirkman. Bracket. I also watched Invincible. And then the whole picture of Omni-Man looking at Mark and doing the did you even think?
You're gonna have a Norman Reedus on a motorcycle.
And then in the back it's Rye with Norman Reedus. There's an arrow that goes around my torso to my back, and there's
a giant fullback Yakuza-esque fucking tattoo of just Ryan with Norman.
Reedus. Yeah. Yes. And that's gonna be the whole thing. Yeah. Hey, chapter 10, this book keeps going. Oh my gosh.
Whoa,
I'm so
cool.
lucky. Our intrepid heroes struggle to find a hiding spot before the teacher returns. Finally, they choose the supply closet. After several quote-unquote tense minutes, the teacher leaves, but the boys are literally too stupid to find their way out of a closet. And what's worse, somehow the spider has escaped, and it's on Eddie's leg. Ah! The fear is palpable. Finally, true terror in a Goosebumps book.
Finally. We were always looking for it. Never found it. Now we did.
We palped it.
Does anybody have anything else to say about that really cool chapter? Because that's literally all the thoughts I have on it.
Fuck no!
Okay, chapter 11. Shockingly, in quotation marks, the tarantula does not bite Eddie, as he bursts from the locker, or as Hat grabs him and then grabs him so Hat then grabs the tarantula from the floor, okay? Nor does he bite them as they, sneak up to the gym hallway where the girls lie below them, right? So this entire time, the tarantula does nothing, is what I'm getting at here. I want to stress that the tarantula has basically no purpose whatsoever except for this forthcoming scene. We get a bunch more cool descriptions of clothing, and finally, the tarantula is dropped to definite success.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, boy, we spent a lot of time on this, like, again, as you said, Brandon, like an I'm gonna say Ocean's 13 kind of heisty thing.
So it's Ocean's 8.
It's Ocean's 8?
Yeah, they're little babies.
They're all little babies. It's Ocean's Junior. My Ocean's babies. Next chapter, whatever. Unbelievable. The tarantula landed on Molly, not Courtney.
How could you have fucked that up?
Yeah, it's almost as if this was a stupid fucking plan, you dumb idiot.
It made me think, the way that it was described made me think like, oh, is fucking Hat like secretly working for Courtney? Like what? But of course there would never be anything that interesting.
No, I think unfortunately it's just that they're too fucking stupid to know where to stand, which, I mean, granted, they haven't planned this out at all, and there's no way to know where the tarantula would fall from if you're standing on the ground, because obviously there wouldn't be. And, a great plan. I mean, I know they're fucking 12 years old or whatever, but, like, come on. You
couldn't even drop like a weight on a specific place, holding it over another specific place.
Yeah, you could just drop like a piece of gum.
Yeah, something a little less hard to carry around than a living tarantula. Children throwing insects at each other.
Yeah, a lot of this in this book.
There's Courtney's cool, but that throwing the bugs and shit.
Yeah, she's got
flavors.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
No.
Molly reacts predictably normally to tarantula landing on top of her, and Courtney is utterly nonplussed. Everyone is once again impressed with how tough and courageous Courtney is. The boys are predictably caught and made to clean the science lab for a weak and right 1,000-word essay, I believe, about how it's bad to steal tarantulas, which seems like that shouldn't require any words, but okay. And
remember that old punishment?
Yeah, remember that?
I remember it.
The girls have also stopped talking to them. You'd think that would have more impact on the rest of the book. Surprise, it doesn't. Eddie again blames Courtney for his complete failure, but he has little time for this as a monster appears in his room.
Oh my god.
No way!
Real monster.
This is probably the worst place to mention this, but I just wanted to quickly note that in the audiobook by Mark Turetsky, he gives Molly specifically a very funny voice because she has braces. So every time she talks like this.
I'm glad he was having fun.
I was having fun with him too. You know?
I wish you would. It would have absolutely blown my mind if you had said that he gave her the Sailor Moon Molly accent. The Serena!
Maybe it's because I've fallen in love. This is like your crush on Jelly Lawrence, Molly. He's an older man. He's handsome, kind. Oh!
Next chapter.
Oh, Brandon, were you saying anything?
I was about to say Serena,
Serena.
Oh, there you go.
Melvin.
but I was like, I have nothing more to add other than I also like Molly's voice in the Sailor Moon dub.
It's very good. It's great. It stays in my heart. It has a special place in my heart. R.L. Stine engages in a new form of what I'm calling monster denial, edging us with the promise of a mud monster, only to reveal that it is in fact Kevin, a character you barely remember exists. Eddie consults with Kevin, a scare expert, on how best to get, quote-unquote, Courtney. Frustratingly, a man in a lifelike mud monster costume suggests using a large dog. Eddie stupidly agrees.
I don't. This entire book is so flawed.
It sucks because you know the fucking mud monster costumes exist.
Yes.
In chapter 2.
Yeah, they're fucking mentioned in chapter 2, and it's like staring you in the face the entire time. It's like, just do that. And every time they come up with a stupid fucking idea, it's like, why don't they just do the fucking mud monster thing? Whatever.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's just mean. It feels mean.
It feels mean.
It's not edging, and it's not in a good way, you know?
It's not in a good way, no. It's not in a good way.
Not good edging. Bad edging.
Bad edging.
Vegging.
Bad edging.
This is vegging.
Vegging.
Fuck.
Dredging.
The gang is hanging out at Charlene's house. They are playing croquet.
They're eating
Okay.
croquette.
Why? What? Why?
I have a reason. I wrote it down right here. California.
Yes.
They're like, do you want to play croquet in my backyard today? And they said, yeah, I would love to play some croquet in your vintage Navajo style sitting area. Like,
Oh, and that's the other thing about Mark Turetsky. Eddie's older brother Kevin. He gives him this straight up like, "What's up, bro?
What's up, bro?"
Fucking, like surfer, fucking like kind of fucking accent.
in
Just
our
like,
Pueblo style sitting area, bro. Come play croquet with us.
California scheming.
So I put on the monster costume and I went out into the ocean. I went whoop back, and then I went on the lip and I went blah.
Eddie reveals his great scheme. Needing a vicious dog for this scheme, Charlene suggests her dog, the menacing Buttercup. Buttercup is amazing, and I love him. He does some amazing stuff like lying on his back. Eddie is unimpressed until Charlene reveals that she has trained him to kill. He promptly mauls Eddie to death, ridding us of this intolerable fool at last.
Thank God it's over.
Yeah, the book was a little short.
The book is a little short.
The ending is where it really picks up.
Alas, the hapless idiot did not die. Begins the next chapter. Buttercup just sort of goes crazy whenever someone whistles. A good habit to have developed. The gang decides to ambush Courtney and Denise at their treehouse by Muddy Creek. Molly reveals that she can do a perfect Denise impression to lure Courtney out, but she is naturally undone when she calls Courtney only to learn that Denise is in the room with her. I hate these people. I fucking hate them.
They're stupid and they're mean.
This is like fucking Always Sunny episode. Like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is an
yeah.
Always
Yes,
Sunny
yes.
scheme. Right here, right now, this is an Always Sunny plot.
Denise reveals that she taught spiders to talk to cats.
Like, Dennis would reveal he could do a perfect impression of this person and call them up only for this person to be in the room with Courtney.
Yeah.
And then he would say something utterly insane. And then they would have to come up with a new plan that, like, where Charlie, like, says that his cat is being eaten by bugs and they have to go save it. Like,
Mudman.
Ah! This book is fucking shitty. Ah!
Made of fucking feces. Ah!
Ah!
Champion of the mud.
I will say this genuinely, that I loved the parts of this book where Buttercup was just being a dog.
Big Beethoven energy from Buttercup.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want nothing but good things to happen to my Buttercup.
Yeah, Buttercup is great. King character. Best character in the book, frankly.
Frankly, yeah.
Yeah.
Need more Buttercup. You should have written more about Buttercup.
Next chapter, the tale of the shittiest idiots continues.
That's got a sing-songy quality. It's Shittiest Idiots.
Shittiest Idiots. The time of the great dog scare has arrived until it hasn't, because it rains for a week. Also, Kevin's movie's final scene, in which the Mudman appear, bad idea for the last scene of your movie, is postponed.
Yeah, that's foreshadowing.
In a way, that's foreshadowing.
Yeah, a little bit.
See, what he's doing is playing with our expectations. Finally, on a sunny Saturday, we head to the woods with Buttercup. Had and Eddie scout the treehouse to find the girls are indeed there. Eddie reveals his secret weapon, shaving cream, to make Buttercup look rabid.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if an adult saw a dog charging at a small child, they wouldn't try to kill it.
Nope.
Well, again, animal cruelty is on the table.
Yeah, no chance this could get their dog killed, but whatever. The chapter hints that Charlene may not be able to whistle because these people are morons, but instead the plan fails because they brought a dog to the woods and it runs away to chase squirrels.
Who could have seen this coming?
This book, okay, this begins a part of this book where the kids keep giving sentience to Buttercup. Where they're like, doesn't he know he has a job to do? He's a dog!
He knows where he lives. He'll just go home. He's a dog.
He's a dog. The first sentence of this next summary. God, they are so fucking stupid. Charlene let go of the leash, so now Buttercup is missing. Eddie is still only thinking about the scare and not, the lost beloved pet. The four idiots stupidly split up to dumbly wander the forest and definitely get lost, which is exactly what happens. Eddie blames the dog, calling it, quote, irresponsible, and then yells about how lost he is. Finally, another different dog appears to maul him to death and end this book.
We're gonna fire this dog.
This dog is completely irresponsible.
Dog, you had one job.
Alas, this idiot does not get eaten alive, as the black dog is scared away by Hat. Not nearly so lost as one might wish, the kids meet up and lament the lost dog. The kids reassure Charlene that Buttercup has probably just gone home. Walking back, they find both dogs have been found by Courtney, who has befriended them both. Eddie admits defeat. Courtney cannot be scared, but he promises a scary thing is going to happen just 2/3 of the way through this book.
Oh, a reason to keep reading, I see.
Just drawing you back in.
Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
Whose dog was the other fucking dog?
Actually never addressed.
What the hell? Like, this dog
Courtney
is
just,
like a giant...
Yeah, Courtney just befriends a wild dog.
Just like a what was it? It was like I got Doberman vibes.
I think so. Yeah.
What? Okay, all right. There's just a random fucking dog just running around the woods, and then Courtney is able to befriend it. And, all right, well, whatever. All right.
It's the woods dog.
If I am correct, what's that, Brandon?
It's the woods dog. That's the dog.
It's not the woods. Yeah.
That's the doggy woods dog.
Yeah, the dog of the woods. Yeah. You got a chicken of the woods.
Chicken of the sea.
You got, what is it called? Hen of the woods, and then dog of the woods. Yeah.
Cat of the woods. Worms of the woods.
Squirrel of the woods.
Squirrel of the woods. Mud of the woods.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Mud of the woods. Yeah.
Concrete city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rolling around at the speed of sound. Yeah.
Got places to go. Gotta follow my rainbow. I sang that in a karaoke room in Japan.
Hell yeah. Like recently?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Hell yeah. All right. Unfortunately, I have more of this book to read. I sincerely apologize to everybody.
It is unfortunate.
I apologize profusely to Mario and Brandon. I did not mean to subject you to this. I apologize to you, dear listener. Chapter 19. This chapter starts with Eddie screaming as he's being strangled by the icy touch of death itself. Cool. Deserved. Or at least it would be, if our unreliable narrator wasn't 1, terrified of literally anything and everything, and 2, an idiot. It turns out the kids are just hanging out at Charlene's place, and Charlene had grabbed a Coke from the fridge, causing her hands to be cold as she wrapped them around Eddie's throat. Normally, I'd question why Charlene's trying to strangle Eddie, but at this point, I'm just assuming that's the secret desire of everyone around him. So, the Suck Squad have all gathered to yet again suck and figure out what dumbass idea they can come up with to scare Courtney. That isn't the extremely obvious get Eddie's brother and his friends to wear the mud monster costumes. Anyway, Molly decides to rip off Hat's hat, and it is revealed that he doesn't wash his hair, which is described as looking like wood.
This sounds like experience.
Wow, that is legitimately disgusting. You know what else is disgusting? The end of this chapter's fake out. The kids can't decide on how to scare Courtney, so Eddie walks home at 9 o'clock and proceeds to scare himself into thinking he's being chased when he absolutely 100% is not in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Kyle.
Yep.
Just egregious.
Just a chapter that occurred in this book. It's a chapter.
Oh, we've got a couple more that just occur. Chapter 20, Eddie bursts into his home, physically tired from being so dumb. He thinks to himself, "It didn't take me long to realize that no one had really been chasing me. I knew it was all in my imagination. This had happened to me before. Lots of times," unquote.
You've always been really stupid.
Oh my god, why does the main character suck so fucking much?
He's the worst.
I often feel that I am being chased, and only later do I realize that no thing made me feel that way.
He's the worst.
So I have written here, what is wrong with this child? Anyway, Eddie's had an epiphany and demands to use the phone, which he uses to call Charlene, who immediately realizes he ran all the way home because he's a scared baby bitch boy. Eddie declares, quote, "We've got to scare Courtney at night." Okay. Chapter ends with Eddie teasing that Courtney would give them the idea for how to scare her herself. Yes, dear listener, the thing depicted on the cover of this book is finally going to happen. Chapter 21. Once again, this book proves Courtney is actually fucking cool as hell, except that one time where she threw bees.
Except for when she threw the bees.
That I totally forgot about.
Can I make a quick point? I want to point something out before we talk about how cool Courtney is. And that is, do you know how fucked up it is that Courtney like fucking saved Charlene's dog? Like literally found the dog and saved it, and they're still like, we need to ruin this girl's life. She sucks. We hate her.
I still want to kill her.
I still like want to kill this person.
Yeah, the several points where it's like, wait, are we actually going to hurt her? It's like, well, no, but there's a possibility, but like, no. And
I'm gonna fucking ruin this woman's life. She saved my dog, mind you, but
she kind of saved Eddie too, because with the snake, it's like you didn't like Eddie was scared. Eddie thought that the snake was venomous and was going to like hurt him, and she fucking helped him out. And it's like, yeah, she was a little bit like, you know, highfalutin about it, but
minus the bee thing, she's been nothing but an angel, basically.
But like it just does, like, she's cool, and this chapter makes her more cool. Anyway, she's fucking cool. She's cool as hell, and we're dropped into the next morning at school where Mr. Melvin, the teacher, is talking to the class about monsters and how fake and dumb they are. "No, Mr. Melvin," shouts Courtney, "you're fake and dumb." Courtney then proudly declares to the class that Bigfoot and Nessie are totally real, and her relatives told her so. Yes, dear listener, Courtney is a Ness head and watches Finding Bigfoot.
Courtney announces that the Mothman and Slenderman are dating, and they kiss all the time.
Anyways, Eddie's single brain cell finally fires up as he pieces together the extremely obvious way to scare Courtney that has been standing in front of him literally at one point this entire book. Yes, dear listener, the thing depicted on the cover of this book is finally going to happen.
Get ready.
Get ready, because it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Chapter 22, the dipshit detachment harasses Eddie's brother Kevin into helping them scare Courtney by having him and his friends put on their Mudman outfits. Fucking finally! Kevin asks how they're going to make sure Courtney's at her treehouse, and Molly declares that she'll make sure of that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll make sure of that. Kevin agrees on the condition that Eddie is his servant for a month, and the Bumblefuck Battalion agrees to commence Operation Scare Courtney for really real this time. No fooling tomorrow night.
No fooling.
No fooling. The thing depicted on the cover of this book is finally going to happen. Chapter 23, backstory chapter. Turns out we finally get the history of the mud monsters of Muddy Creek. So hundreds of years ago, people used to live in huts on the banks of Muddy Creek. Which I need a drink of water.
I need the water.
I need some
water.
I need some water.
Blue bar. So hundreds of years ago, people used to live in huts on the banks of Muddy Creek, which used to be deeper and wider. The townspeople looked down on the folks living in the huts, and one day a powerful rainstorm caused a tidal wave of mud to disappear all the people living close to the creek. Once a year, on the full moon, the mud monsters rise up to take revenge on the townspeople and or throw a dance party. No, I'm not making that up. They literally say to dance, like in the book. It says, like, that's what Eddie says. They come out of the mud to dance and kill people.
Really cool. That's so cool.
It's kind of fucking awesome.
Mud dance party. Muddy dance party.
Mud dance party. Mud dance party.
We going mudding.
Going mud. That's what they mean. That's what mudding
means.
is. Yeah.
That's what mudding means. Oh, okay. Wow, I thought it was different. Back in the present, Kevin has donned his mud monster costume. Thing depicted on cover of book finally happened. Chapter 24. This chapter is entirely Molly goading Courtney over the phone to show up at her treehouse to prove the mud monsters are real. Thing cover book happen. Chapter 25, the dipshit detachment all arrive at Courtney's treehouse, where Eddie continues to cry and moan about every goddamn thing while tripping over every rock and getting scraped by every tree. The cringe core head to a better vantage point as they see Courtney and Denise arrive. They've been hearing moaning up to this point, and now they see movement behind the tree house. Cover happen! Chapter 26, the Asshole Alliance watches three mud dudes, described as shambling like zombies, surround Courtney and Denise without them realizing. Then the thing literally everyone could see coming from a light year away happens. Kevin and his two friends show up behind Eddie and announce they're late because they had a flat tire.
Oh my god, but then who is the mud?
Who mud? The people, the men. Oh. Chapter 27, the entire treehouse becomes surrounded by mud monsters as Eddie yells at Courtney to run. She and Denise finally see the creatures and start screaming, but it doesn't matter because everyone's screaming and running at this point. Then it's revealed this all happened 2 weeks ago, and none of the Fellowship of Fuck-Ups have left their houses since. But Courtney has, because she's cool and was right about monsters being real. The end. No, I'm not kidding. That's how the book ends.
What a piece of poop.
What a cockadoodie boner farting book this is.
Bad.
Mud monsters. The real mud monsters appear on the second to last page of the book only.
It is so much more egregious than The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb.
Yeah, this is worse.
Villainy.
Like,
this is villainy.
It is sheer villainy. Like, R.L. Stein is the villain of my story. You did this. You fucker.
What do you think that he thought when he typed on his actual probably typewriter on this last bit and hit the enter key or space or whatever the hell you do to go to the next line?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think he went? He probably, like, I can imagine he was sitting in his chair. He hit that. He leaned back and he went.
He probably didn't even think about it. He was like, I got other shit to do.
Yeah, he's probably like, I gotta fucking go to dinner.
I gotta run.
I gotta go to dinner.
He's like, should I? Is it okay? Can I really do that? Yeah. What are they going to do?
They're children. What are they going to do? Stop me.
Stupid and mean, as I apparently definitely feel with every fiber of my being, having invented some of the most loathsome creatures to ever crawl on the face of this earth.
Is there anything redeeming about any of the main crew?
No.
Like,
absolutely not, no.
No, they're dreadful.
And the way that they just double, triple, quadruple down on being shitty for really no reason.
They're like, Courtney saved my dog that I endangered. But how can we get her to kill herself with fear? There's nothing redeeming.
No,
I guess
this book is irredeemable garbage.
You know the fun thing, it's the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. See, maybe we're redeeming it. Maybe that's we're redeeming this book with our podcast.
The thing that gets me, the thing that is, there are two things about this book that are just pure anti-Goosebumps, and one of them is straight up the ending. Like, what the fuck ending is this? Nothing happens. Nothing. Not a single
is
fucking thing.
nothing.
It's just like, what the fuck, man? And anyway, but like, god damn it. Like, Goosebumps has some really fucking amazing endings to some of the books.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, and like legit twists in there.
This one ends with the start of a book. Like, that's kind of a twist in its own way, right? Like to begin the book at the end. That's kind of something, right?
You could read it backwards and start with something mildly interesting, and then read the rest of a really bad book anyway.
Like the entire time, I don't know about you guys, but the entire time I was thinking, like, maybe the reason that Eddie isn't realizing that like the mud monsters would be a cool like thing to use to scare like Courtney with is because he is a mud monster. And like that's why he is like completely unfazed when he sees his brother in the mud monster costume.
They were all,
and like,
yeah.
I was waiting for Courtney to be a mud monster because she wasn't afraid of anything.
That would have been cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was also another thought I had where it was like, well, if she's a mud monster, that would explain why she's so calm because she's kind of like, what was that one Marvel superhero? The Swamp Thing.
You mean Man Thing?
Man Thing?
Yeah, Swamp Thing's a DC Comics hero.
Oh, Swamp Thing's DC. Okay. Yeah, Swamp Thing then.
But Man Thing is also a swamp creature.
I was hoping that they would do literally anything with it. I mean, it wouldn't have redeemed the book, but at least it would have been an idea.
You know, that in the first Treehouse of Horror, at the end of the Raven sketch that they do, during the Raven bit they do, Bart responds to there being nothing at the chamber door, and he says, you know what would have been more scary than nothing? And Lisa goes, what? And he goes, anything! That's how I feel about this book. That's how I feel about this book. You could have done literally fucking anything in this story. Just anything. God.
You could have had it revolve around, I don't know, this is just spitballing here.
Yeah.
Some like monsters that are made out of mud, you know. You could have had them like appear and be present. You could have had like some sort of like slow creeping horror at the concept of them having been introduced earlier and built up in some way. That would have been an idea. That would have been a thing that you could have written about. If you were a writer and you were like a horror writer who wrote kids books that were like horror in the horror genre, you might say like a monster on the cover of the horror book. You might like think about writing a story which featured those monsters and maybe had them be present for more than literally one page.
It's weird because it's like if this were, for example, an episode of like Amazing Stories or something, I could see it being exactly this setup and it basically working fine. But I think that like the problem is this book takes like at least 2 hours to read. And that's too long of your life to waste on a story that doesn't do anything. And then the other problem is that, like, it's Goosebumps, so you're reading it with the expectation that it's trying to be scary, not like an adventure story. Like, you know, not a goofy little story. This is a scary story. And then you read it and it's like, oh, this fucking... Like, I get that R.L. Stine did begin writing comedy stories. You know, like, that's like that was where he got his start. Okay, fine. But you're not writing a comedy story. You're writing fucking Goosebumps. And I would like there to have been a monster in it. Even just a hint of one. Just a hint that monsters were coming into this book. Like,
yeah, at a certain point I was like, maybe they're setting up that like these guys are like monster hunters. You know, Courtney's like going to be a monster hunter. And like when the monsters come out, like she's like, oh yeah, I know these. And then like, it's like monsters are normal in this universe. And that like, you know, like you can't be scared by this stuff because you've got to remain calm while you're like hunting monsters and shit. Mm-hmm. I thought that would be a cool thing. You know, I thought that anything would be a cool thing.
Yeah, you thought anything might happen.
Fucking thing.
Yeah.
If I were to like plus this book up, first off, I would throw away like all of it up to probably like chapter 2, and then have like the mud monsters actually like do shit. Like, that's one of the things I've noticed about the Goosebumps books is like the best books are when shit happens in like the first like couple or maybe like 5 chapters.
Yeah.
Like you introduce the threat, you introduce like the thing that was generally speaking, the thing that's on the fucking cover of the book.
Yeah.
You get that in there and you start having interesting shit happen. Have the kids fucking have to figure out what the hell's going on with the fucking mud monsters, you know? Have them being a real threat. They get lost in the woods. They got to figure out any fucking way that you could take this would be infinitely better than the dog fucking shit that is this book. This is like hands down worst fucking Goosebumps book we've read.
The kids should be getting chased or stalked by the monster. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, the monster should be in it.
Maybe 15 books into a series like this, maybe Real Stein is tired of writing horror in his horror series, but that's still no excuse. That's what's on the tin. You can phone it in. It's not really that hard to phone it in. You could literally like copy and paste a chase scene from a prior book and then alter it. It'd be better than what happened here. But, you know, again, a book a month is an unreasonable number of things to have to write.
Yeah, it's too much for anyone, really.
And of course the quality is going to suck, and that's a problem of the design of the task, you know. I don't know if I could I don't think I could pump this out.
No, I definitely
I would quit.
I definitely couldn't do this.
More time.
Yeah.
Man, I'm looking at the next couple books, next few books, like handful of books, and it's just, I don't know, y'all. I think we're in for some dire shit. Potentially not the next one. One Day at Horrorland.
Oh, I'm fucking pumped for that book. I'm stoked because here's the thing. I think that one is going to be a banger. I think that's going to be like start to finish a banger because based on the episode of the television show, the entire fucking story takes place in Horrorland. So like I'm there for that one. If it's bad, I will be a broken-hearted man. Now, why I'm afraid of bees?
Why I'm afraid of bees? Monster Blood 2, Deep Trouble, Scarecrow Walks at Midnight, Go Eat Worms, Ghost Beach.
Okay.
Return of the Mummy.
Okay, Scarecrow Walks at Midnight, I think might be a good one.
I love the cover of that.
I remember reading it.
That and Deep Trouble, I'm rooting for you guys.
Ghost Beach is stupid, but I think it might be okay. Return of the Mummy does have the mummy in it, so the mummy is in Return of the Mummy. So like that's like at least something.
It's very interesting that like within the next couple books, like actually, within the next like 10. We've got 2 sequels.
True.
Monster Blood 2 and Return of the Mummy.
I mean, let's look at the next. I mean, okay, we got One Day at Horrorland. That's gonna be good. Well, I'm afraid of bees, probably bad. Monster Blood 2, a recipe for disaster, but maybe they'll pull it out a win on that one. Maybe it could be.
Maybe.
Deep Trouble might be good. I don't know.
I like the cover of that one.
I got hope for Scarecrow Walks at Midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost Beach is probably gonna be dumb, but it might be funny.
I have seen. I have not looked at more of it, but I did see on YouTube there was a review of Go Eat Worms, and the review was very negative.
I can believe that. Return of the Mummy is in it. That's a positive thing.
Yep.
Phantom of the Auditorium. Well, they made that one into a musical.
I'm very interested in Phantom of the Auditorium.
I mean, we got Night in Terror Tower eventually.
Cuckoo
Clock of Doom. I don't know if that's good or not, but I know the cover is really popular.
No, I remember it being great.
I remember some of these being good, but I think sometimes it was just that I liked the image.
It took
I think
30.
Cuckoo Clock of Doom was a good one, or I remember liking it as a kid.
Cuckoo Clock of Doom is legitimately good from what I remember. It's got a very cool horror concept.
How did we possibly take longer to get to Night of the Living Dummy 2 than Monster Blood 2? There's 3 Monster Bloods in the time it took R.L. Stine to come up with maybe the dummy comes back. Like maybe the mascot of my fucking book series comes back.
I wonder at what point Slappy became like the mascot, because it was
question.
Curly for so long.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So I don't know. Maybe he just didn't realize, and then maybe I wouldn't think that Night of the Living Dummy 1 would have propelled him into like, you know, definitely the ending makes him interesting, but like, I wonder if Night of the Living Dummy 2 is what actually propelled Slappy into mainstream consciousness.
It could be so.
We are getting a little ahead of ourselves because there is a TV episode associated with You Can't Scare Me.
You're right. It was just we were in a dark place and we were looking for hope, and we didn't find it. So like,
light at the end of the
tunnel. We didn't find hope. It's interesting.
We were grousing for oats.
I am going to hold out hope that Monster Blood 2 is good. I am going to cross my finger. I really hope that Monster Blood 2 is good.
I'm going to cross my fingies.
I love Monster Blood. I love the idea of Monster Blood.
Maybe it will be great. maybe it will be great.
I love the cover of Monster Blood as well. Monster Blood 2 as well. All right, let's talk about the TV episode. If y'all want to go ahead and fire up your YouTube.coms or whatever you watched it on. You watched it on Netflix?
I watched it on for sure. I did it on Netflix. That's what I did. That's where I got it
couldn't
from.
find it on Netflix.
I got it. Archive.org has the entire series on it.
All right.
I
forgot that you can get stuff for free.
You wouldn't download a car.
I would download a book though.
You wouldn't scare me.
You wouldn't scare me. You wouldn't scare me.
Makes it sound Italian. You wouldn't scare me.
You wouldn't scare me.
You wouldn't scare me.
You wouldn't scare me.
All right, so the TV episode kind of drastically changes a good chunk of the book for the better, in my opinion.
Well, it cuts out about 2/3 of it, and that's
which is
the
already
right
just
call,
like
yeah.
What a shame.
Leaps and bounds. Like, even if it was a necessity, I mean, standing ovation for that one. We also start out with actually something interesting happening, and even though it turns out to be a fake out, it's totally fine in this case because you get to see a mud monster.
Yeah.
So, Mario, did you want to talk about this?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So we open on a spooky flashback where a highly Canadian man takes his idiot granddaughter to play ball in a swamp. This is
like you do.
This has some incredible dialogue in it, mostly because of the way it's read. Like Bob, I'm sure you had a reaction when the child said, "Now I'm having too much fun."
Starting to rain, Leah. I'm getting real muddy. Maybe we should go home now, huh?
No, I'm having too much fun.
Okay.
I'm sure you had a moment there because
it's like an adult ADRing the kid.
It's
really
wild.
badly.
And then the Canadian grandpa goes, "Don't go there."
Leah, don't go there. Grandpa will get your ball for you.
Don't go there.
It's incredible. And then the child is like throwing her ball, and she throws it as if on purpose directly into the muddy creek, and is like, "Okay, Grandpa, go die."
Like a clear setup for like insurance fraud or something.
Yeah.
She throws it like a villain. Like
yeah,
she, like does like kind of like almost like a lift one leg up and throw it behind her with a grin.
"Here I go, Grandpa."
Yeah.
Go get the ball, Grandpa.
Grandpa desperately struggles to get the ball, like shakes his way across a branch, and then suddenly a hand emerges, and then it's followed swiftly by a mud man. He kills Grandpa. Grandpa canonically is dead in this episode. A man dies,
Rip.
even if the man was not real. And the Mudman gives big potato sack energy, I'd say. The mask of the Mudman is great. The body looks like the body of the gremlin from Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, the Twilight Zone episode, where it looks like a man dressed as a teddy bear. It's got big guy in a potato sack vibes. But don't worry about that, scare kids, because it was just Courtney giving her presentation.
Oh, you neglected to mention how very, very happy the granddaughter was.
Oh, she loved watching her grandfather die. She was
she has a
smile ear to ear.
It's extremely funny.
She hated that man.
She hated that man. She threw that thing in there for a reason.
She was really excited to watch that old man die.
Oh, we were too. Stand in for the audience.
She's like, "You're too Canadian, Grandpa.
Courtney,
Feed the monsters."
Courtney's amazing. We know this. She's incredible. Everyone cheers because she's so brilliant and cool. The teacher in the class is not very good at acting. But Courtney is doing her best to be the most annoying child actor that you have ever seen. You know what I mean? Like she's doing like, how can I do this? Well, Mrs. So-and-so, I just think learning is so cool and great, and I love every day that I spend in class where I learn about the things I care about. I'm passionate about life and animals and the world.
It's Disney Channel Extra.
And I respect you doing your job and teaching me.
Really, we should be paying you twice what you should earn a hero's wage for your efforts.
They don't pay you enough. You deserve a hero's wage.
Yeah. Don't do drugs.
Know it all.
Can we talk? Yeah, no, big know-it-all energy. Eddie cannot whisper in this,
No.
and it drove me fucking crazy because he would constantly make comments, and the entire time he's like, how it'd be like, yeah, she's a monster, and then Eddie would go, ha ha ha, yes, Hat, she sucks. Like, it's terrible.
I can't control the volume of my voice.
Eddie is also not very good at acting. He's a bad performance.
Not so good, does he?
Not so good, does he? But Hat is okay. Hat's okay. Great news. Charlene and Molly are not in this episode. So it's
Thank God.
just Eddie and Hat. 2 kids. That's it. Just 2 kids and Courtney. So they jump straight to putting a snake in Courtney's lunchbox. It's a live snake that they just have. And so Bob, you mentioned this earlier. Eddie does not know how computers work.
No. Eddie specifically says, yeah, my homework was stuck in the computer. So.
Stuck in our, yeah.
We needed a digital crowbar to get it out, and I didn't know where it was.
It's in the computer?
It's in the computer. Logs on to the Jurassic Park OS. It's like floating.
Yeah.
That's a real OS, by the way.
Why are you holding a piece of paper on the monitor? It says whatever is on the screen will be printed.
Whenever I think about computers now, I think of that amazing joke of no one will probably understand this, but there's this guy named DSP, Darkside Phil, and he's known for just being an idiot, okay? And there's an amazing picture of him where he's looking at a computer screen, and then the computer screen says, press any key, and DSP thinks to himself and then leans over and presses the power button on his computer and everything turns off and he goes, wow.
Not at himself.
What?
No, he's not
saying,
admitting his own failure.
I just want the viewer to know he was blaming the instruction.
He is blaming, yes, no, do not get that twisted. He is blaming the instructions, not, there is no ounce of self-reflection in that. No, there are certain people in your life, well, they never do anything wrong, ever.
He's also...
They're always right.
He is the reason, I think, that they started putting physical webcam blocker switches on laptops.
Yeah.
Yes.
To appease the fear of all people who have ever streamed on video, because on a particular stream, he did something that normal people would never do.
Yep.
He, yeah. You know that wonderful font that we keep talking about.
Trouble fluid. He extracted trouble fluid.
He was extracting
thinking he was not on stream.
Is that what we're calling JO?
Yeah, we're calling extracting the trouble fluid.
Extracting trouble fluid. Oh God, he was extracting trouble fluid one day and forgot to turn off his fucking camera
on stream. Thought he paused it, did not pause it, and in the mode, in that very place, extracted trouble fluid live.
Oh my God. I remember when that happened, everybody was in disbelief. But do you remember his initial reaction to that? Was it
to go,
I was just scratching my leg.
Was it to go, wow. Wow.
Yeah, blame his fucking camera.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow,
Logitech,
dude,
why did you put in your manual that I wouldn't have read anyway that I can't just jack off in front of it? Don't jack off in front of us. Don't jack off to this.
Don't do it. I need a list of everything you should and shouldn't do in front of this camera. Yeah, dude. It's funny that you mentioned that because we do know actually that he is the reason, or at least part of the reason. Do you remember when God of War Ragnarok came out and people were criticizing it for auto finishing the puzzles?
Yeah, but yeah.
Are you familiar with the basically the I believe they gave the developer, one developer of God of War Ragnarok gave a GDC talk about why they did that, and in it they actually show footage of DSP playing the game of playing God of War and not being able to figure out a puzzle.
Bob, I'm gonna hit you with a real truth, because I've been in the DSP trenches for years. I've been aware of this man for like probably the first Let's Play I saw.
Really?
No, I saw 2 Let's Plays in like my freshman year of college. The first Let's Plays I saw were Darkside Phil playing Infamous and a guy named Lord Vega playing Silent Hill 1.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
It's a bad
Lord
Let's
Vega,
Play.
yeah.
I'm not begrudging Lord Vega. It's just a bad Let's Play. It's like a camcorder LP, in the bad times.
Yep.
But
most of them in the beginning were
dog shit. I mean, but there is a video. I think it's I can't remember if it's a Red Prey video or a Chip and Ironicus video where they're talking about Let's Plays, and they have a clip of, or the video is Darkside Phil playing Arkham Asylum 1, right? And it's a scene, there's a part where Poison Ivy takes over the island, right? And you can't go down into the like ground floor of a building because it's full of poison mist, okay? You have just been given the tool that lets you create a zip line. You have literally just been given it. And there's not a joke, not an exaggeration, a fucking 30-minute clip of Darkside Phil being unable to cross this room because he keeps fucking jumping in the instant kill gas. Like, he's like, how the fuck do I get across this room?
Wow.
Like, you can see the other platform across the room. You can fucking see it. Like, it's right in front of you. And this man won't do it. And he's horrible. He's the fucking worst.
He's so
bad.
When you were setting this up, I thought you were going to be like, so they were talking about this God of War Ragnarok at GDC, and he said, he was asked, why did you make the puzzles auto-finish? And he's like, well, actually, we had a part of our presentation for that. And he presses a button, they all look up on the screen behind him, and it's Darkside Phil extracting trouble fluid.
This is why you made the puzzles complete.
Someone's like, can we cut the... No. We gotta watch.
No.
We have to watch all of it.
It's 4 minutes.
See him? He's shaking his leg right there.
He's scratching his leg.
Wow.
Wow.
Dude. Wow. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Ugh. God. Did you see the clip of him? I'm so annoyed with him. I turned Scottish. Did you see the clip of him playing? What was it? Zelda. What was the second one after Breath of the Wild?
Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Tears of the Kingdom. Did you see him playing that where there was a puzzle?
Oh God.
Where you had to put all these. You had to put all these balls in like a big platform, and he had to get them all there. And listener, the Tears of the Kingdom is a game basically about building things, and you build things to then solve puzzles. And so, what you're supposed to do for this puzzle is you're supposed to come in there and see 2 giant like pieces of basically like a wall or like a little bridge or something. And what you're supposed to think is, oh, I have the tools to turn this into a thing that can push a massive amount of small objects at once. And I can create this thing and put a platform in front of it to just kind of scoop everything and push them in a direction, right? Guess what DSP does? He takes each ball individually and he starts moving them one.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that clip.
And he starts complaining about how the puzzle design is fucked up that they would have him do this.
I've seen that clip.
He's the guy. Like, he's the reason why there are so much hand-holding, because like developers know that there are people like this that are actually playing the game like that. He's the one. It's his fault. Blame him.
Well, I mean, he literally is the one. The GDC conference was them confirming he is the reason they have this.
Exactly. He got pissed off about that. He was like, "Can I sue GDC for using my likeness?" And it's like, even though they cut him out. They cut out his face. You could still hear him talking and being like, I don't know what am I supposed to do?
They were like, our dumbest players
can't figure
this stuff out, so we needed to make a system so that they could continue playing the game.
Speaking of our dumbest players, Eddie.
Eddie.
Eddie doesn't know how computers work in this show, and we cut to the lunchroom where we have a highly awkward child-teacher interaction. That scene hurt to watch.
I didn't really think of it in the book like this.
No.
But then looking at the scene, it's like, oh yeah, that is incredibly awkward when a teacher is like, I don't have any food. Hey kid, give me some of your lunch.
And the kid's like, you can have some of my food. Like, speaking as a kid who was like friends with his teachers a lot, you know, like on friendly terms with them. This was a fucking rough scene to watch. This was like,
are you telling me that like the teacher lounge doesn't have anything?
Yeah.
There's no colleague of yours that you could ask. This is a highly inappropriate interaction.
yes. Also, this scene goes on way too long where the teacher is like refusing to take the sandwich, but then he does take the sandwich when he refuses the sandwich.
Yeah.
And then she
And
goes,
then he takes
well,
it,
it's smoked salmon. And he goes, smoked salmon, and then makes a samurai cop face where he's like, oh. like, oh. And then the snake reveals that it has the power to transform into a rubber snake at will. And then Courtney picks up the snake after it scares the teacher, and she says, and I quote, I love all creatures.
I love all creatures equally.
And how can you live with yourself? You hate Snow White. Like, that's Snow White. This is Snow White.
Yeah.
You have a problem with.
Well, it's not even that. She's like super cool. In the book, she likes bats and snakes and bees and shit. This is a cool lady. This is a cool person.
Yeah, she's a little smarmy, but she's also like a kid.
Like, she's a bit of a know-it-all, but like she's into cryptids. Kind of a cool kid.
Also, props to the actor for Courtney.
She holds that
who is
snake.
handling. Yeah, she holds the snake, and later she'll hold a tarantula.
She does. She does it with aplomb. We cut to a scene that
I didn't see a plum in her hand.
You're fucking God. Wow.
Fuck you.
Wow.
If Arlstein can do it, then why can't I?
Wow. So we cut to a scene that feels like it's sinister, where a man washes a school van with mud, but it's not. It doesn't mean anything though, but it feels sinister. So I think it's a worthwhile scene to keep kids invested.
I like him spraying mud all over his face.
Yeah, I think that if R.L. Stine had included a scene where a man washed a car and the water was mud, it would have been more interesting in the book. It would have been like, ooh, what does that mean? Suddenly, taxidermyfox.jpg, and then didgeridoo.wave. That's how I'm going to describe the show in JPEGs and .wave files.
No way, I ain't doing it.
It's taxidermyfox.jpg and then like it's so that's what science sounds like, right? It sounds like
Yeah, that's what learning sounds like.
The kids attempt to retrieve the tarantula from the lab, but they are interrupted by the arrival of the teacher and Courtney. What? The scene is totally different.
Oh my God.
Courtney wants to use a science class to invent a grade that's higher than an A+. And the teacher says, no such grade exists. Excuse me, ma'am. A grade does exist. I think you'll find that it's so stylish.
Super smoking sexy
It's
style.
super smoking sexy stylish. Tarantula hijinks ensue. You know these things. They get stuck in the closet. The spider is climbing on them. But in a shocking twist, Courtney rescues them from the closet and also the spider.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, quote, tarantulas hardly ever bite. And even if they do, it doesn't hurt. Now, Courtney, I'm going to disagree with you here. I bet that it does hurt. I bet that it won't kill you. It's not going to kill you, but I bet it fucking hurts, though. Right?
Most people that go skydiving don't die, but it's still scary.
I mean, I think this, having looked at a tarantula, it has rather large fangs.
Okay, this is from kidshealth.org.
Yeah.
If a person gets bitten by a tarantula, the bite will probably feel a lot like a bee sting with pain in the area of the bite.
So it does quite literally hurt.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking jumping spider, right? Where the bite is nothing. It's a fucking big bite. I mean, an ant bite hurts. So if that hurts, I'm sure this hurts.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I watched there was a clip going around of I forget the name of the tribe, but basically they had like a rite of passage for boys where you put your hand inside these like
gloves full of ants,
big gloves full of ants, and bullet ants.
Yep.
And apparently they're called bullet ants because their bite feels like you got shot with a bullet.
Well, here's a personal anecdote. Like 3 weeks ago, I had to pull my car over on the side of the road because a black ant had gotten in my shirt and was biting the fuck out of my neck.
Ooh.
And it hurt like shit. Like,
ow.
It didn't feel good. I mean, like, it wasn't a big deal. As like a tarantula, it didn't kill me, but it did fucking hurt, actually. Like,
yeah, there's a clip of I think it was I forget who it was. It might have been a journalist or something. But yeah, the reason I saw this clip is and know about this is because this guy put his hands into the gloves and got stung. And it's just watching this dude writhe in pain like for fucking hours until they finally decide, hey, we'll take him to the hospital and get him some morphine and shit. He's like shaking with pain.
Yeah.
And what like when people are the shaking shit got me. I was like, oh no.
So bad advice, Courtney. Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. Also, I just wanted to quickly say that we missed an amazing line from Hat, who patted Eddie on the back and said, I got another idea, Eddie, my boy.
Got another idea, Eddie, my boy. Forget it. Aw, this one's a beauty.
That's pretty cool. Hat's pretty cool.
Hat in this, the kids are a little bit better than the book.
They are better. The kids in this are not. It's because they don't spend a full book trying to torture this woman. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, and one of them is an extra in The Great Gatsby.
What, the guy that played Hat?
Eddie, my boy.
Oh. I mean, like, I think that these feel more like natural kid hijinks.
Yeah.
And less like
vicious, cruel monster children.
Yeah.
Courtney, however, though, is not a natural child. She is a published author now.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is really impressed, I would say, of her. Let's see. Hat. So she publishes an article on the Mudmen, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how she's going to make a name for herself. Hat draws a fucking sweet Mudman picture.
Yeah, it's fucking sweet.
To tell Eddie their new scheme, and they just like straight out just fucking call out Courtney to be like, you're not brave enough to go stand in the creek for a while. And she's like, I am brave enough to go stand in the creek.
Yeah, I will do that. You're not brave enough to do my homework for a week.
And then after this scene happens, speaking of Hat having great moments, do you remember how he walked out of this scene?
Walk?
Yeah, I mean,
no,
sachet?
I don't remember.
I mean,
he's doing it to make fun of Courtney, I believe.
I'm sure.
Because when she turns around, he stops and pretends like he's scratching his back. But no, he's got a full, like, dance swing going on.
Oh, he is fucking serving. Like, he's... it's incredible.
It is very good. Anyway, smash cut to Muddy Eddie.
Muddy Eddie. I have Eddie is covered in mud. His mom will love this.
Yeah, for real.
All I could think was, God, the anger that is going to happen when he gets back home. God. We get a lot of squelch.wav in this sequence in the swamp where mud is applied to a child a lot. Then Hat impotently wanders around the woods and yells for a bit for no fucking reason, while Eddie stands around covered in mud like an idiot. And he's standing next to what I thought would reveal themselves to be mudmen, but I guess are just giant piles of mud. Like, for some reason. I don't really know what that's about.
That's set dressing.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And suddenly Hat is beset upon by the mud monster, singular. And then you get a 1 FPS chase scene.
Yes. It's very good.
Yeah. Mudman has the body of like a 1950s wrestler, you know? And then
I keep thinking Oogie Boogie when
it's a little Oogie Boogie, sure, yeah. He cries Mud Monster, but Eddie and Courtney don't believe him. While Courtney just like completely owns the fuck out of these kids, like just like rips into them and like leaves nothing but the wreckage of their lives. But suddenly, a monster approaches behind her. She turns, gasp, how will she handle it? She lectures the mud monster to death I think it's a funny ending that the book should have done instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, goofy.
It's goofy in a fun way. This was like the right way to end it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Courtney is hailed as a hero by the press, and she has to go talk to the president about the mud monster. Thank you for saving America, Courtney. Thank you for saving America, Courtney, from the mud monster.
Also, in this scene where Courtney is lecturing the mud monster, there are several times when when you get a close up of the mud monster, and it's
like
seriously
you can see the dude.
Yeah.
In the mask, like, just, oh man.
The boys are now just mud-covered idiots, humiliated in front of the entire world, and then they sit around while everyone else leaves, oblivious to the fact that like they're just too stupid to realize that the rain that's starting is going to rehydrate the monster, which then gets up and goes booga 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 booga, and they go ah, and that's the end of the episode. What a wacky show!
LOL.
LOL.
.jpeg wave.
It's better than the book by a wide margin.
Yes.
That is such a low bar.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's true though.
It is true.
And if anyone watched this and was like, I wish that this had a lot more mud monster in it, I'll read the book where surely things will be better.
What a cruel joke.
I just don't. Yeah.
What a cruel joke to play on children.
Maybe don't. Maybe just don't.
All right, and with that, we can go ahead and move on to, I believe we've got Brandon's patented review trademark.
It's patent pending.
Patenting.
I'm gonna. It's now broken up into Baby Town Frolics and Angry Man Cloud. So from a kid's perspective and from an adult's perspective, I think I gotta say, I would not have liked this as a kid, and I sure don't like it as an adult. I think for the same reason. I think, like, especially as a kid who is a little slower to read, it would be unbelievably cruel to make it 66 pages into this piece of crap and not see a monster yet. To have to make it to the 93rd page to see the monster would feel like someone took a lot of time out of my life on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, it would feel cruel. It'd feel mean. I think, like, this... It probably wouldn't have stopped me from reading Goosebumps in the future, but like it would definitely have cooled my heels on it. I definitely would have been less excited for the next Scholastic book fair to pick up whatever The Werewolf of Dungy Creek or something without flipping through it and making sure there's at least one mention of werewolves. As an adult, I also felt that it wasted my time, and I say to the kid in me, I also didn't like it when people waste my time. I also don't like reading stuff where nothing happens, and nothing really changed. It's just a bad book.
Whoa. Wait a second. Wait a fucking minute. I'm looking on the trivia on the site that won't be named. According to Charlotte Sullivan, most of the mud on the mud monster costume for the TV show was McDonald's milkshakes.
That's the stuff dripping off his nose, yeah.
Okay, I could believe that, actually.
I totally believe that.
That actually makes a lot of sense to me.
At certain points, I was like, what does that remind me of?
It's like a Frosty.
That reminds me of something.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Why would you do that? That's gonna be hard to wash off. That's gross as well.
It is gross, but you know.
Yeah.
Why would that be the thing that they would use? I guess
Canada.
like fake mud is really expensive.
Yeah, I guess. Water and dirt. There might be something in there. You don't know. Like a brain-eating amoeba,
maybe,
whose face also looks like the face in the Tim Jabkoba's cover.
Well,
which I just realized.
It does.
The pile from which the kids were drawing on was clearly like a specific pile that was okay for them to apply to each other, and it also looked like milkshake Frosty. I mean, it was cold enough outside, like you could see their breath. It must have been cold enough that like it would hold up a bit.
Yeah.
It started snowing during that scene.
Yeah. I noticed that. Yeah.
So yeah, extremely Canada moment.
All right, Brandon, is that it?
Yeah, I mean, no surprise to anyone that's heard the last 2.5 hours of us complaining about how much this book sucked. No one enjoyed it. No one had a good time. I don't think anyone enjoyed writing it or reading it.
Exactly. All right, Mario.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Give me a minute. Yeah.
Gotta psych yourself up. You gotta wake yourself up.
Yeah, I gotta get into the fucking zone. Right, this is my patented review. I patented it. I called the president and I said, "Hey, patent this, please." And he said, that was my political joke for the day.
Nice.
Okay, so as you know, I have three sections of my review. One is for Steininess, the Stein factor. How R.L. Steiny is this? And folks, this book is a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, all across the board. 100%. This book is R.L. Stein to a T. It is overwhelmingly full of R.L. Stein's patented bullshit. You got cliffhangers for no fucking reason. You've got descriptions of clothing. You've got kids who are all fucking 10 years old or 11 years old. They're all there. It's got them all. This book is overwhelmingly R.L. Stein, and unfortunately that means it's not very good. Part 2 was scare factor, right? How scary is it? It is not scary at all. This book cannot scare me. It is a fucking 0 out of 10 on that. And then the teen zone, or the kid zone, how relatable is it? I mean, not really. I mean, I guess it's relatable in the sense that you may hate someone in your class and want to destroy them utterly, but like, I would hope that's not a really overwhelmingly common thing that kids will need to relate to. I'm gonna call it a fucking 1. And then if you want my actual genuine opinion, this book is fucking terrible. And like Brandon said, if I was a child, I would be overwhelmingly pissed that my time had been wasted. But as an adult, when my time has value, I'm real pissed. Like I wasn't even doing anything. I was on a plane and it wasted my time. You can't waste your time on a plane. Your time is valueless. Jesus. Horrible.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
Criminal. Go to jail. Go directly to jail.
Go to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200, but you can collect $13 that you got from me, you fucking motherfucker.
Oh yeah, you paid money for this.
I paid money for this. Anyway, I'm gonna see if I can get a refund. After I listen
would
to
you
all
say
of
it was worth $13?
No.
Okay.
It's barely, like, if it's free, it's still not worth the money.
No.
You have to be paid to listen to this shit.
No, yeah, it sucks.
So going into mine, I already kind of gave it away. This is, the worst Goosebumps book we've listened to. I want to say by far, but looking at my ranking, it doesn't seem like by far. I'm struggling whether to rate this 0 out of 10 or 1 out of 10. I think I'm going to go with 1 out of 10 for now, because, I mean, it took a long while to get there, but the mud monsters eventually showed up, and there was a cute dog, 2 of them. But
yeah, the dog was good.
And Courtney's cool. Plus, this had, and honestly, I'll give it 1 out of 10 purely for mentioning the Loch Ness monster. So, all right, and that's it. That's fucking. I love how utterly depressed we all sound. We are all so fucking bummed out.
Yeah.
And hey, we have a good reason. So, this is probably a great time to mention. If you want to check us, if you want to support us, it's YCSMpod.com. On Patreon, you can support us there. Patreon.com/YouCan'tScareMe. Do not feel pressured or like you need to give us money, but if you want to, by the way, you can join for free. You don't have to be a patron. You don't actually have to contribute money. You can just go there and follow for free. So we're also YCSM Pod on Twitter, and we're YouCan'tScare.me on Blue Sky. So that leads me into kind of what I've been doing for a long time at this point, and the thing that I alluded to earlier. We've got some changes, y'all. We've changed up some stuff. So first off, go ahead and announce that we have moved away from our previous podcast host, Acast. We are no longer with them because they're bad. I do not recommend them. What I do recommend is joining on Spotify and putting your podcast up there, because it's free. Anyone can do it. You could just, it's like YouTube. You just upload your stuff and you don't have to pay any money, and it's great. It's really cool. Plus, they've got a bunch of really cool features that a bunch of y'all are going to enjoy. They just released the ability to comment on podcasts now, which is cool. So if you want to leave a comment on the Spotify podcast, like, totally do that. That's really cool. I like that a lot. We can also do polls there, so we might like mess around with that. I don't know. But probably the coolest thing to happen out of all of this is then the thing that I've been doing this whole time is we are also going to debut on YouTube. We're going to have video versions of the podcast, and yes, that does include images. I have been going through all of our previous episodes. I have completely finished all of our backlog. And all of those videos will be available on YouTube by the time you are hearing this. So yeah, youtube.com/YCSM pod. And so you can look at all that stuff there. I'm going to make that into a podcast playlist. So that should be available if you listen on YouTube. Also for if you want the visuals and stuff, if you go and follow us on Patreon, we've got a cool thing that I'm doing where I've gone through all of the episodes, the MP3s, and I've attached chapter art to all of them. So all of the contextual visual information that you would see in the YouTube video, you will also see it if your podcast player supports chapter images. And one of the places that does is the Apple Podcast app. So yeah, if you're looking at if you're watching this on Apple Podcasts, you'll be able to see all of the contextual visual information, like as we talk about it. You know, it's really useful for like the cover discussions. And whenever there's any like fun jokes, I throw a picture in there sometimes just to give context and stuff. There have been a few times when we've talked about like stuff that we're posting on Discord, like what happened in this episode as well. So it's a good way to watch that stuff. So yeah, I highly recommend checking us out on Apple Podcasts on if you have an iPhone. It works out really well. I was actually quite shocked that Spotify let us like do that. The way that it works, it's really neat. If you want to watch the visuals, if you want to watch on Spotify and get those visuals, here's the other thing. I have gone through our Patreon and I've removed all of the old Acast links and I have replaced them with direct uploads of the raw MP3s. So that's another thing I should mention. Across the board, you will hear an improved audio quality because Acast was just utterly decimating our audio quality. I had no idea.
That sucks.
Yeah, I kept messing around with it thinking like, what the hell is going on here? I need to be like, I want to make sure that it's loud enough. I want to make sure that the quality is good enough. And it was always like giving me guff. And I figured out what it was. It was just Acast, just across the board. They were messing with our audio. So now, yeah, you get the raw audio. And if you go to Patreon, you can download that raw audio that has the chapter images in it. And you can just play it wherever you want. You can just grab it there. You could also just straight up listen to it on the Patreon. Patreon, you can use it as a podcast player. You can play audio from there. But here's the other cool thing. If you're a patron, which by the way is free, you can go there and just subscribe for free. All of our content is free currently. I'm not planning on going back and like making any of the bonus episodes like paid or anything like that. I'm just saying that in case you're listening now and in the future we have like a bonus like Christmas episode or something, just covering my bases. But for right now, like all of our backlog is free. You can just go there and subscribe. And once you do that, you get a special Spotify subscription link, and you can go to Spotify and subscribe to the Patreon feed on Spotify. And there, if you listen to that podcast feed, you will be able to see, basically, I've uploaded the video version that's on YouTube to Spotify. So you can watch the video version with all the video of the visuals that I was talking about before, the contextual images, and you can see that on Spotify. The way that it works, I couldn't get it to work with the free feed. But with the Patreon feed, which is free, you can just get it for free. It works perfectly fine. And so that's the way that we're going to kind of go forward with this, where we've got YouTube, we've got that has the visuals, we've got Spotify. The free feed does not, but it has some other cool features. Like another thing, I've gone through and added chapters to everything. So if you wanted to skip around really quickly, I've added chapters to everything, so you can do that. There's also with the free feed on Spotify, there's also you'll be able to see the transcript as we're talking. So it works really well. You can do that with Apple Podcasts too. There's just a lot of cool stuff. And all it took was me switching from Acast, and suddenly all of this shit's been unlocked, and it's cool, and I love it. So yeah, a lot of work went into that. So I hope y'all are, take advantage of that and just check it out. So yeah, again, YouTube at YCSM Pod. Same podcast on Apple Podcasts. If you have any issues with any of the podcasts on any of your feeds or any of your players, let me know. I am at BobVids on Twitter. I am bobvids.com on Blue Sky. You can also hit me up on Patreon. I'm running that there. So just, drop me a line and I'll get it fixed as soon as possible. I need to take a break because that was a lot.
That's a lot. You did it.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob. That's a huge lift.
Damn, dude. Damn, man. Thank you for the work you put in. That's a lot.
No problem.
That was a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I was planning on doing stuff on my birthday week, and it ended up just being like babysitting renders for You Can't Scare Me episodes. So it's fine though. If you guys if you have iPhones, you should definitely check out the podcast on there. It like Spotify works really well, and I think it's really cool. A lot of the new features, especially if you use the Patreon feed. But like it's like so cool seeing it on Apple Podcasts, where like if you're driving and you're using like CarPlay, it'll actually change the fucking like image like on your display. Like instead of just being the same chapter the entire time, it'll change it to contextual like images and stuff. So yeah, it's fucking sick. I like it. I did it for a reason.
I think that will be good.
Yeah, images make things better. It'll add some leavening to our 2-hour 45-minute discussion of Bad Book. Sometimes interesting book.
I wish this was bad in like a fun way.
Yeah. I do too.
At least I think it feels like we were a bit unfair to some of the other ones in comparison. That's how bad the book is.
It does make some other ones feel a lot better than this one. Yeah.
Looking at Welcome to Camp Nightmare being 2 out of 10 and You Can't Scare Me being 1 out of 10, I think I need to adjust my entire...
Yeah, I feel like we were not as nice to like what is it called? Witch magic.
Oh, be careful what you wish for.
Bad witch, yeah. Be careful what you wish for is like better on reflection.
Oh, it is better. It is for sure better. Everything we have read is better than this. Everything we have read is better than this. Like, yeah,
by a mile.
Yeah,
like.
Oh well, next time.
Oh well, yeah. Well, hey, here's the thing. Sky's looking better. One Day at Horrorland couldn't possibly be as bad. Could it?
I feel confident that it will not be.
I like the doom that you've invited.
I can't say it's going to be good. I think it will be good, but like it can't be worse.
I think it's appropriate to invite doom on this particular podcast. I don't think that it's going to be worse, but it would be funny if it was.
Yeah.
It would be funny if it was just like, You Can't Scare Me, 1. One Day at Horrorland, 0. Why I'm Afraid of Bees, -2.
Why I'm Afraid of Bees is not looking super promising.
Why? Okay, I need to read a synopsis for One Day at Horrorland at the very least.
They go to Horrorland.
So it's just like horror. Okay.
Maybe he'll actually describe something scary.
They go to a park. They go to a theme park run by monsters.
That sounds sick.
I mean, it's better than this.
It's like the opposite. Is that there's a bunch of monsters in that one.
I think it's monsters like all the time, like down the ticket, it's all monsters.
The Morris family got lost trying to find Zoo Gardens theme park, but that's okay. They found another amusement park instead. It's called Horrorland. In Horrorland, there are no crowds, no lines, and the admission is free. It seems like a pretty cool place. But that was before the heart-stopping ride on the deadly Doom slide and that terrifying experience in the House of Mirrors, because there's something weird about the rides in Horrorland. Something a little too creepy, a little too real.
Hayao Miyazaki ripped this off for Spirited Away.
It's true.
It's true.
All right, I have to check out Why I'm Afraid of Bees. Gary Lutz needs a vacation from himself. Bullies are constantly beating him up. I wonder if it's the kids from this fucking book. His only friend is his computer. Even his little sister doesn't like him. But now Gary's dream is about to come true. He's going to exchange bodies with another kid for a whole week. Gary can't wait to get a new body until something horrible happens.
What the
and
fuck?
Gary finds out his new body isn't exactly human.
What the fuck is this book about? Excuse me?
What?
Yeah, that sounds like it's at least going to be interesting.
That sounds like a very high concept book for a Goosebumps story.
I mean, that kind of sounds like where he was going for the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Like, we're getting into Freaky Friday stuff. Except for The Fly, I guess.
This is intriguing.
That's weird.
Let's do some Cronenbump.
It's very The Fly-y, but it like presupposes that body transfer is just a thing in this
A
universe.
thing that's just, or is this fucking overdrawn at the memory bank?
Yeah.
Mom, my nuts.
My nuts.
Can someone turn off the fat rotating guy?
Yes. The place that I work at, the office I visited this last week is in Bloomington, Minnesota, and I went to where they filmed MST3K during the good years, 89 through 99, and it's like Ninja Warrior for kids now. It's like a gymnastics thing, but I did go to the site. I went to the site and sat outside in the parking lot of the industrial park building that they once shot MST3K in this last week. Not super interesting, but I did do it. Comma, my nuts.
My nuts.
My nuts.
Hey, Brandon.
What's up, Bob?
We should figure out how to scare Mario.
Oh, yeah.
You have any ideas? Like,
I was thinking, like, we could, what if I got, like, a funnel, right?
mm-hmm.
And, like, put the funnel in his mouth and then poured, like, a mayonnaise jar full of bumblebees right down his throat.
I thought you were going somewhere different with that. Like, what if I just shit?
I think I don't know about being scared. I was sort of scared.
It's similar to what I was. You know what I was thinking? I have a really good idea of how to scare Mario.
Okay, lay it on me.
What if I shoot him with a gun?
I was really scared. Oh, get scared, dweeb. Get scared. Okay, get ready to get real scared.
I think Mario's dead.
Mm-hmm.
I think it killed him.
Mm-hmm.
He was too scared.
Are you? Oh, he peed his pants.
I peed my pants. I can't stop peeing my pants.
Still going.
I've been peeing my pants this whole time, so that's kind of weird too.
I've been peeing my pants for 2 hours 52 minutes.
Oh my god.
You know, hard to believe, but it's true.
All right, I think we've got plenty of ways out.
Plenty of ways out.
Plenty of ways out.
Death is the ultimate way out.
yeah. That would be a great ending.
Death is we just die.